and from her experience, she's going to give you the tips for this particular paper as to how you really need to plan and how you really need to study and understand the questions in the manner so that you are able to give your best in the exam. Ma'am, over to you, please.
Thank you, Vandana madam, and both the faculties who will be also speaking about this company law, who are the faculties for Board of Studies. So first of all, let me appreciate the efforts of Board of Studies. We have Dayanivas, Chairman of Board of Studies, and also Vice Chairman Vishal Bhai, and along with the Secretary at Vandana Nagpal Madam. This is first time in the history of ICEI we have planned this kind of series. So what has gone behind this is we have analyzed, the Board of Studies has analyzed the effect of why the students are actually, how they should prepare so that they clear the exam. And accordingly, you know, the comments from examination department also has been taken. The analysis of papers have also been done. And on that basis, this kind of series has been structured for all the papers. And this is the paper 2 of intermediate exams, that is corporate and other laws. So here 60 marks is for Companies Act 2013, which includes section 1 to 148. And part 2 is for other laws, and that is 40 marks. All of you are aware about it. That is Indian Contract Act, Negotiable Instrument Act, General Clauses Act, and Interpretation of Statutes. We are all aware about the passing pattern, that is 40 marks in each subject and aggregate 50. So aggregate 200 should be there. So how to study? Friends, it is always said that we have to do very hard work as well as we have to do very smart work for CA exams. CA exams are all, has been told that so world's 8th toughest exam. However, it is not impossible. You know, the word impossible always says I am possible. You know, there are 3.5 lakh chartered accountants across the countries. And if we see the requirements for chartered accountants is very, very huge. At present, in the last campus placement program, you know, there we had, you know, 10,500 chartered accountants who have cleared the exams. However, the requirement from the campus of more than 100 companies, we have got 11,500 chartered accountants as a requirement as a fresh chartered accountants. So the demand is very huge. The scope is very huge, and the degree level of financial level as well as the social levels, once you qualify as a chartered accountant, is also very huge. The social status for a chartered accountant in the country is also very huge. Our Honorable Prime Minister has also said the signature of a chartered accountant is more valuable than signature of a Prime Minister also. So why I'm telling all of you is that because the value of CA is huge and it is not impossible to do anything. Only we have to do this 2 months, very smart work, very hard work, and dedicated efforts towards learning, towards clearing the exam is of utmost importance. So if you study hard, you know, the section 1 to 148 of Companies Act are actually used in regularly when you qualify as a CA and join either as an industry or as a in practice also. So these are very important sections, and they are also not that tough. So you have to study hard. At Board of Studies are always there to support all of you people. This Negotiable Instrument Act and all are also not that tough. So friends, I request all of, or my earnest request to all of you is that please study very sincerely in these 2 months of time. Again, you know, what the subject wise, topic wise marks are also given in your syllabus, in the beginning of your syllabus, in beginning of your book, it is given, which is the study material. Okay, which section, which chapter, how much importance is given for each chapter, mark wise also. And generally, when the papers are coming, that trend is always seen. If some chapter is given 15 marks, in the range of say 10 to 15 marks, that much only will be asked from those chapters. So you have to give importance to that extent to that chapter and revise your structure of studying in that manner, so that all those chapters you study first and are able to do more practice, more marks. So we mock tests are also being conducted. So try to give those mock tests also. For company law, you structure, on daily basis, say 3 hours to 4 hours, you start studying. Maybe within next month, you will be able to complete the entire syllabus. After that, you can go through the scanner. You can go through the previous papers. RTP is also issued by the institute. Lot of MCQs are there which are developed by Board of Studies. Go through those MCQs, and you will be able to develop the confidence. If you do all these things, at least 2 mock papers you have to get it verified also. So confidence level, how you can sit in the exam and write the paper. Once you write your exam paper in that scenario at home also, your confidence level will boost up, and you will be more confident while you actually attempt the paper. Get these your mock test papers also verified. In 1 month's time, try to ensure that you are able to complete or entire of your syllabus, all your subjects. Next month, last 15 to 20 days, you keep for revision and giving your test papers, so that whatever is incomplete, you can complete it. And accordingly, you will be able to give the exam more confidently and ensure that you are clearing. See, we are here to support you, to guide you, but actual efforts you will all have to put. So my humble request, all the study material, nothing at intermediate level, everything comes from study material only. Nothing comes from outside. The weightage of the marks are also given. The tips for MCQs also will be given to you. MCQs, draft MCQs are also there on the Board of Studies website, which are developed by Board of Study. Go through all these things, and I am 100% sure you will be able to clear the exams of corporate law, allied laws. You will be able to clear the exams of intermediate. I wish you all the best for your exams, and I want that immediately after coming up the positive results of all of you, you start articleship. After 3 years, you give final and enroll as a member of the institute. My best wishes to all of you. And I really thank Board of Studies for giving me this opportunity to share my views in 10 minutes time with all of you. And the hard work always pays. Hard work combined with smart work gives the best results. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your tips, especially hard work and smart work, which you have emphasized. I think it's very important. So just hard work will not pay. You have to do smart work also. Smart work is you have to plan. Planning is very much important. What ma'am is also saying is, so plan your studies beforehand and work accordingly. And she has put emphasis that at least this is the theory paper. You need to study at least for 3 to 4 hours at least, because this is a paper you need to have the conceptual clarity, understand the law, and then you need to know how you write the paper, because knowing and writing, that is what ma'am has emphasized. Do write, practice, and attempt the mock test papers. So ma'am, thanks for your special tips, and I hope the students will imbibe all these tips and will work accordingly, and they'll be successful. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing your time. Thanks a lot. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And no problem. And CS Shraddha Saxena. Both of them are there with me. They'll be taking you through to this particular subject. They are the core faculty of the BOS, and they have done everything. You see the material, the way they have prepared, and especially the RTPs you go through. And thirdly, they are also done the MCQs, scenario-based MCQs they have prepared, and all this material is very much available on our BOS Knowledge Portal. Students, keep visiting the BOS Knowledge Portal. It is a revamped portal now.
Dear students, I, C.A. Shraddha,
Myself, Nisha.
we welcome you to this session and we would like to give our vote of thanks to C.A. Preeti Savla, the Central Council member and Director Board of Studies, C.A. Vandana D. Nagpal. Thank you both the ma'ams for enlightening the students with your words of wisdom. We would like to emphasize what ma'am has already said. It was rightly said by ma'am, more practice, more marks. So students, you should take a note of it. The tips and the tricks that have been provided to you, you should follow them and come out with flying colors. Not only this, ma'am has uh, played a very important role by telling you that you have these 2 months in your hand and you need to utilize them in the best possible manner. You need to have a glance on the section wise and skill wise weightage as told by Vandana ma'am. Dear students, it is not only important for you to do hard work, it is also important for you to do smart work. It will definitely pave a way for a successful career ahead. And as Preeti Savla ma'am has said, that CA curriculum has been designed for you in such a manner that you reap the maximum benefit out of it. Apart from that, the road ahead after becoming a chartered accountant is full of roses. Very less of thorns, but more of roses. So, we welcome you once again to this session.
Yes, students, just looking at what has been said to you by Shraddha, I'm just endorsing on the same point that what is a success? Yes, success is the packet of the small and repeated efforts. This what has been conveyed to you by the ma'am as well as by the Shraddha. Just you know that you want to, if you want to achieve the excellence, so you know that excellence having is not by accident, but it is by a process, which means that we need a proper planning, strategy, and hard working. Then only we will be able to move from better to good. So with this intent, we would like to move forward with our sessions. But yes, friends, remember, and we assure you that while going through the session, you will learn definitely something. And I'm telling you, knowledge can be acquired from anywhere, from everywhere. But capability is to just receive it. So we just want that you should gain out of this session. And with these positive thoughts, we would like to start the session of the day. Yes, one more thing that I would like to endorse on, just start what you have and use what you can and do what you can do with your 100% dedication and efforts. So, being teachers, Shraddha, we can just open the doors, but finally, it is you students who can enter it yourself. So, let's start off with this.
Definitely, with that, you can come out with flying colors. So, starting with the session, we will just apprise you with some of the important things that you need to take care of. So, as we know, the paper 2, that is corporate and other laws, it's of 100 marks. And this paper is 60 marks are for the corporate law portion, which is section 1 to 148, and 40 marks are for the other laws portion. So, what is the object of this 2.5 hour class? We have today's session and tomorrow's session also. We can say that obviously we can revise these things in us. We cannot cover the entire subject in these 5 hours. But then also we would like to take you through with some of the important sections, or rather with some of the sections, because and by that you will be knowing how you have to write the paper, how to analyze the section, and how to revise. So we will be brushing up through some of the knowledge that you have already acquired. We will be focusing on the presentation of the questions. We will be discussing with you on the exam strategy, solving few of the questions, and discuss on common issues which the students face generally. We will be even working on your preparedness, and we can definitely work towards the improvement. And obviously, we are here to motivate you. So, starting with the session, What are the various publications? It's a study material. The September 2021 edition of the study material is applicable. And apart from that, you have to also refer the RTP. Then you have the booklet on MCQs and case scenarios, which is of January 2022 edition. Then for practice, you have your mock test paper, suggested papers, and you can use the RTP. RTP will comprise of the amendments that are applicable, and they will also comprise of practice questions. For details into these things, you can log into our website, ici.org, go to the BoS Knowledge Portal, and there you can see it. You also have the facility of the mobile app. I have told you that you have to study the study material along with the RTP. The September 2021 edition of the study material is updated for all amendments up to 30th April 2021, and for November 2022 examination, amendments up to 30th April 2022 are applicable. So for this period of 1st May 2021 to 30th April 2022, the amendments are covered through RTP. There you will have the relevant amendment. Along with that, we have also given the extract of the earlier act and the page numbers for easy location, so that you can directly go to the study material, refer the RTP amendment, and you can stick it there, and it will be easier for you when you revise it. So we have told you the resources. That is www.ici.org. Go to the BoS Knowledge Portal, and there you will see it's a revamped version. Everything is easily available at the click of a mouse. And we have also told you that we have our mobile app, as ma'am said, that you can download it from Google Play Store and this Apple Play Stores. So one is available at the click of a mouse and the other is available at your fingertips. So what are the common issues that the students generally face?
One thing, Shraddha, that I would like to enlighten the students. Generally, the student commits mistakes while writing the paper. And what we have tried during this session to cover up the general mistakes committed by the students while attempting the paper. So what, with the benefit of discussing over here, that we will be learning from the mistakes of others. Rather than suffering by ourselves, it is better to learn from the mistake committed by the others, so that we may polish ourselves, we may polish our learning skills. In order to that, we may best able to apply the efforts in the right direction. So this is why we are discussing the common issues, because these are all the issues generally students come to us and they come up with these kinds of the problems lying with them, and they ask how to represent the answers, what is the marking pattern, whether sections are important or not. There are many types of the general issues which generally students face while writing the paper. So we shall be discussing over here, in order that out of their you can say mistakes or something which they have lacked or missed out, that you will be benefiting by discussing over there.
And if you have any issues with respect to the earlier slides that we have discussed, you can watch our LVC lecture introductory session that is there in the recorded lectures. So you can use the introductory session wherein everything has been covered in detail. Here we are focusing more from the examination point of view. So students generally ask us that what is the marking pattern in laws? The basic point is that students are thinking that only the last point, that if there is an issue that such and such thing is there, so yes or no, that is not the only thing that will be marked. There are other things that are relevant. Suppose the question, you have written the answer as no and the answer is yes, so will you be given marks? Yes, you will be given marks, which is dependent on the following points. So stepwise marking is followed. Breakup of marks is there. You have to write the answer in such a manner that first of all you have to write the provision of law on which the question is based. You have to write the legal provision. Then you have to make an amalgamation of the facts of the question and the legal provision. Once you have written that, then you have to write the correct answer. So you will be given marks for writing the correct legal provision also. Then you will be given marks that how you correlate. It might be possible that you know the correct legal provision, however, you are not aware of that. You might have misinterpreted the question, that you might have missed some line in that, but that's why your reasoning is correct, but your conclusion is wrong. So even if your conclusion is wrong, but you have written the correct legal provision and then you apply that, you will be given marks at each step.
मतलब ये कि आपको ये याद रखना है कि हर एक स्टेप्स के मार्क्स हैं. आप अगर कोई भी स्टेप मिस करते हैं तो यू विल लूज अ मार्क्स. तो इट्स बेटर जब भी आपका कोई क्वेश्चन एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड आता है या आपका कोई ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है विच इज ऑफ यू कैन से विच इज ऑफ 5 to 4 मार्क्स, मतलब इसके डिटेल क्वेश्चन है, तो वहां पर यू नीड टू रिक्वायर टू फॉलो द स्टेप वाइज answer, because you have to lay down the provision, whatever the legal issue has been given in the question, and then proper linking and the conclusion. तो आपको उसी हिसाब से अपने आंसर को उसी वे में लिखना है. आप कई बार ये सोचते हैं श्रद्धा शायद कि आप डायरेक्टली अगर कंक्लूजन पे जंप करते हैं तो वो आपकी जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो फुली तरह से उस चीज को जस्टिफाई नहीं कर पाएगा क्वेश्चन की, और उस तरह से समवेयर यू में लूज योर मार्क्स. और इस वजह से ऐसा होता है, कई बार बच्चे आते हैं दे से कि हम तो पेपर बहुत अच्छा करके आए हैं, वी हैव रिटन एब्सोल्युटली फाइन विद द आंसर्स, और हमारे फिर भी नंबर कम आए हैं. तो मेन जो कारण होता है आपके नंबरों का, इट इज जस्ट बिकॉज you have not complied with this requirement of how much. You must see that first how much marks has been allotted to that particular question, and in line with that awarded marks you need to write the length of the answers accordingly. So please आप ये देखिएगा and accordingly you have to write down your answer.
See, there are two benefits on this. One, that you have stepwise marking, so every step is awarded marks. One is that if you have not written the correct conclusion and you have written everything else correct, you will get the marks.
Yes.
But there is one more thing to it. Like ma'am said, Nisha ma'am said, that's when many students come and say that they know the correct answer because they have revised, but they don't know how to write the answer. What happens in that case is they will lose mark, and then they say that they have written the correct answer, but stepwise marking is there, so they lose mark. They will get answer for the conclusion, but not for all other things. So next common issue with the dear students, we were receiving some queries that they are not able to hear us and the voice is not audible. Hope so the
Issue is
resolved now. Please answer that also. So there is one more common issue. Any marks for section numbers. At intermediate level, it's not necessary for you to quote the section numbers. However, as a good writer, it is expected that you should write section numbers. How you can write the section numbers? When you are reading the section again and again. So with revision, some of the section numbers you can mug up. And when you read the section again and again, it will definitely get imbibed in your mind. Like this section 262 is defining your OPC, or section 268 is private company, 2 subsection 68. So what we are saying is that how do we remember these sections? It's not we have mugged up everything. It's more about the practice, that whenever we read from the bare act, we read the full line according to section 268. We are not saying that you should learn each and every section. However, few of the sections with practice will definitely get imbibed in your mind and you can quote them in the examination. Writing of section numbers or no section numbers, we are not saying that it will fetch you more marks, but definitely it creates an impression on the paper checkers.
और एक बात और है, when you will go in the next level at the final level, there it is expected. So this habit of learning the section should be developed from this stage only. आपको अब ये पता चल गया भैया मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे तो आप पढ़ना छोड़ दे, that is also not good. लॉ है, लॉ के साथ sections हैं, so you need to inculcate that particular habit कि yes, I have to read along with the section. जब आप जितनी बार repeat करेंगे, जितनी बार उसको read करेंगे, every time you read the provision along with the citation of the section number, तो every time somewhere आप उस चीज को याद रख पा रहे हैं, याद कर पा रहे हैं, और आपको उसी वे में ही पढ़ना है, और यही चीज आपको आगे जाके आपको बेनिफिट देगा. So try to make it an habit to read along with the section number.
Okay, one more question that I would like to pose to you right now is, इसी से related है. हम जब भी सुनते हैं कि कर्फ्यू लग गया है, there is a curfew in the city, so they say धारा dash dash dash
144.
I wanted you to answer that आपने सुना ही होगा, you must have read it under section 144. So that is there in your mind. I never learned it, but because I have heard it n number of times, I read it in the newspaper, so I know it. So this is how our mind is, that it remembers each and everything. So what are the sources available to you for revision and practices? You have the live coaching classes, the recorded lectures are available, and they are available on the mobile app also. You have the RTPs, please attempt last 3 to 4 attempts RTP. You have the suggested answers on the website. Try to attempt 4 to 5 attempts. With this, I would also like to add a caution that RTPs, except for this November 2022 and the suggested answers, the last November 2022 RTP you can refer as it is. Apart from that, other RTPs and the suggested answers, while doing them, you need to keep a tab on that. If there is an amendment, that will not be incorporated there. So at intermediate level, we expect you that you should be in a position to amend the law as per the latest amendments, and you can do it, and it's easy. And it's a kind of revision for you.
Absolutely. कई बार बच्चे पूछते हैं there's no data bank, there are no questions. But अगर आप questions की बात करते हैं तो आप चाहे अपनी बुक उठा लीजिए, उसमें टेस्ट योर नॉलेज में आपके कुछ क्वेश्चंस मिल जाएंगे. आपको अपनी आरटीपीज में अगर आप पास 3-4 अटेम्प्ट्स को उठाते हैं, अराउंड देयर आर 21 to 24 क्वेश्चंस इन द आरटीपीज. अगर आप लेते हैं 4 अटेम्प्ट्स के क्वेश्चंस उठाते हैं तो अगेन अगर मोटा मोटा 25 काउंट को तो 100 क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. अगर आप सजेस्टेड आंसर्स उठाते हैं तो अगेन there is around the same 21 to 25 number of questions are there, again to 4 to 5 days. यानी कि आपके पास बैठे बिठाए अच्छा खासा एक क्वेश्चन बैंक है ऑफ अराउंड 250 to 300 क्वेश्चंस. आराम से आप उन्हें पढ़ सकते हैं. और एवरी टाइम यू आर रीडिंग द क्वेश्चंस एंड प्रैक्टिसिंग, तो डेफिनेटली मैं आपको बता रही हूँ कि आप अपने आप को पॉलिश कर रहे हैं. एवरी टाइम यू आर पॉलिशिंग योर नॉलेज. और जितना ज़्यादा आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे आपकी नॉलेज और लर्निंग स्किल उतनी ही निखर के आएगी और एग्जाम में आप बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दे पाएंगे. एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम यू. इवन श्रद्धा, मैं तो कहती कि हम अपने स्टूडेंट से हमें ये होप करना चाहिए दे शुड नॉट ओनली बिकम अ गुड स्टूडेंट बट अ ग्रेट स्टूडेंट. यू नो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस भैया? जो गुड स्टूडेंट होता है ही लर्न्स ओनली फ्रॉम द टीचर, बट ग्रेट स्टूडेंट learns to teach himself. And this is the object and this is the motto of our this session कि आप लोग खुद सीखें कि आपको कैसे पढ़ना है, कैसे लर्न करना है, जिससे कि आप निरंतर आगे बढ़ते रहें and you keep on moving and progressing.
आप सब ने जब अपनी आर्टिकलशिप काफियों ने स्टार्ट कर दी होगी एंड उसमें आपने नोटिस किया होगा आपके जितने भी चार्टर्ड्स हैं जिनके अंदर आप प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, दे मस्ट हैव रेड द 1956 एक्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट. So how do they know it's not just their charters? That's why they were able to read it, because we have imbibed this quality that to adapt to changes, and we were taught how to read the law. It's not just we have marked up things, we have to know how to read the law. आपको इंटरप्रिटेशन करनी आनी चाहिए, आप सीख सकते हैं. once you know how to read the law, it's not just with Companies Act, anything, be it GST, be it Income Tax Act, journal clauses, anything. Once you know how to read and interpret, you can do anything. Like it's the basis for all other subjects.
Even one query that we have received from Mr. Jitendra MVSS, he is asking, do we need to reproduce the same terminology as derived in the act or can be presented in the understandable language? So dear Jitendra, that I will say कि if you are asking about the terminology in the sense, you are asking with reference to the definition part or you are asking with reference to the provision, whatever it may be, but you cannot do any verbatim reproduction of the act or the definition at most of the places. But what is being required कि आपका जो essential होता है, what are the essential elements of any of the definition or the terminology used over there should come out properly, so that that terminology is understandable in the manner as is being given under the act or as been expected. मतलब it should come out with the proper meaning. ऐसा नहीं हो कि कहीं आप trying to explain your own words it get perverted into a different sense that should not be there. So it's better कि आप ये देख लें जो भी चीजें आप लिख रहे हो वो proper language में आनी चाहिए, सही meaning में आनी चाहिए and with the complete sense. Though it is not required to write down as it is. The as it is the language given in the barrack, but yet with the essential elements in order to complete and coming into the true sense.
It is not even possible to have the exact reproduction, verbatim reproduction of this act. Even we can't do it.
Even nobody can do. Even if you go in the court, you are seeing that even the great advocates are carrying with them the barracks.
Yes.
क्योंकि ये होता है कि आप उसको as it is reproduce नहीं कर सकते. Neither you can memorize and remember each and everything. Even the comma makes the difference in the understanding of that particular provision. So everything has its own importance and meaning. तो please इसलिए आप ऐसा मत सोचिए कि हम as it is लिखेंगे तो कुछ होगा, ऐसा नहीं है. लेकिन कोशिश करिए कि आप लीगल लैंग्वेज को पढ़ें, क्योंकि जैसा आप पढ़ेंगे वैसा ही आपके दिमाग में वो फिट हो जाएगा and accordingly you will be representing your in examination.
And we will be discussing about this in few slides. So we will be discussing few of the questions wherein we will tell you how to write the answer. So you have the MTPs also with you, and we would request you to refer the latest MTPs. So I think this is like already covered, that usage of language, manner of giving answer. Language to be used should be have legal touch. So how you will have this legal touch? By practice reading the full sentences. Keywords should be there in your answer. While writing the answer, do keep a note of the keywords that you need to use in the answer, and the answer should be in legible English language. So you have to have the legal touch. Then no generic answer. A पूछा है journal में, B लिख के भेज दिया. These are not those kind of examinations wherein you can write anything and you will fetch marks.
And this is the most common issue. बच्चे general answers लिख के आते हैं rather than they are being expected to give the specific answer with respect to the specific provision of a specific requirement of the question. So generally student miss out that part. और उन्हें ये लगता है कि हम तो बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पेपर करके आए हैं, एंड मैनी टाइम्स स्टूडेंट फेस दिस काइंड्स ऑफ प्रॉब्लम. तो एक चीज़ आप ये भी याद रखिएगा, मैं तो बस ये कहूँगी कि जो कहते हैं ना आपका कि भाई ये शॉर्ट पेंसिल इज बेटर देन लॉन्ग मेमोरी, मतलब कि आपने पढ़ा सब कुछ है एंड यू रिमेंबर बट यू डोंट नो हाउ टू रिप्रेजेंट, देन भैया फिर तो आप सच में मतलब आप बहुत उस पर आ जाएंगे, बिल्कुल लो लेवल पे, जितना आपने एक्सपेक्ट किया उससे भी कम मार्क्स आएंगे. तो दिस इज बीइंग रिक्वायर्ड कि रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ आंसर्स मेक्स अ डिफरेंस. दो लोगों ने सेम चीज पढ़ी है, सेम टीचर से पढ़ी है, देन ऑल्सो इट इज अ डिफरेंस इन मार्क्स. दिस इज जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेजेंटेशन एंड इट मैटर्स अ लॉट. छोटी सी बात है, जनरल बात है, बहुत लोग कहते हैं, लेकिन इट मेक्स अ डिफरेंस.
Yes, it does. So no verbatim reproduction, it's not possible. And we will be discussing, you will come to know why we are saying this. So properly framed languages, no flowcharts. Flowcharts are there for you to understand, memorize. But you cannot write a flowchart in the examination and expect to get marks. You are at the verge of becoming professionals, wherein you will be required to draft letters. You will be expected to draft appeals. And you will be representing your company or your client in ITAT. All those things will be there. Do you expect that कि आप वहाँ पे ITAT में कमिश्नर के सामने जाके you will be, मुझे सेक्शन में पता था ये फ्लो चार्ट में लिखा था. Sorry boss, that will not do. You have to write the language. So properly framed language, no flow charts. Sometimes what happens is, for law paper I cannot say that much, but you can support your answer with the flow chart. But you will not be having that much of time. To make the flow charts along with the explanations. Any provision given should have essential element of legal provision. Yes, that's correct. Only that much provision is sufficient as which fulfills the requirement of the question. Do remember this. We will be discussing this in length while we will be discussing with you the questions. The answer that you seen suggested are the answers to the T, that they are the perfect answer, but that cannot be done to the T. Even I cannot write it. Proper conclusion in line with requirement of question, very important. Sometimes what happens, student write the correct provision, facts also, but no conclusion. So though they will get marks, but not full marks.
This is what we have said earlier also in our earlier slides कि भाई आपको complete answer लिखना है with every steps, because every step has the marking.
Yes, every step has a mark. So, coming on to examination.
श्रद्धा, सॉरी, मैं बच्चों आपसे ये कहना चाहूंगी, जब मैं एग्जामिनेशन का नाम सुनती हूँ ना तो आई गेट सो स्कैर्ड एंड आई रिमेम्बर माई चाइल्डहुड पोएम एक्चुअली, कि वो था ऐसा कि हे प्रभु इस दास की इतनी विनय सुन लीजिए, मार ठोकर नाव मेरी पार ही कर दीजिए, मैं नहीं डरती मौत प्रलय तूफान से, कांपती है रूह मेरी बस सदा एग्जाम से. दिस इज द फैक्ट माई डियर स्टूडेंट्स, एंड आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड. मतलब ये दुखती रग है सबकी, एंड इट्स अ ग्रेट पेन एरिया एक्चुअली. और बच्चों को एग्जाम से डर लगता है, नाम सुन के भी लगता है कि हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू डू इट, हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू परफॉर्म इट. यस, so just we are just taking over certain things with respect from the examination point of view, and definitely these small tips will somewhere will give you a different new ideas that you can explore over there. भाई कहते हैं ना, if you have 1 rupees and I have 1 rupees and if we exchange, we both will have only 1 rupees each. But if you have one new idea and I have one new idea, and if we exchange, we have 2 new good ideas with each. So let's take these tips into consideration for the benefit, for the benefits and for the better performance in your examination.
So, like we have Jitendra given the answer to your question. And as far as Vandana ma'am's part was there, we will ask the backend team, the technical team, to look into it, that you can
even
refer it
recorded
later.
lectures will be available, that can
Yes.
also be seen.
And Athifka, so you are attempting your November 2023 examinations. No problem. Just refer the current book, because if you will be waiting for that time, then the time will be gone. So start preparing from now on, and you can refer the RTP.
And even there, if there will change also, that change will be only to the certain extent. बाकी आपका base तो वही रहेगा, the act will remain same. So आपका ये है कि you can, till the time you can start up with your course, and if any amendments come in that any of the provisions, so that will be separately be made available for you students on the website. और अगर study material भी निकलता है, then also it will be taken care of.
So Gunapalli, you have asked that within how many days we have to revise, recall the chapters we learned and prepared. As such, there is no time, because if you see, we are given approximately 1.5 days before you give the examination. So the more you have prepared, the more you can revise before the examination. And if you are asking that how many days, then 2 days are more than sufficient if you have actually done your work very sincerely. 2 more days, like I can revise the syllabus within a day if I have done it. So that's like, it's a question which depends on the time where you are standing and how you have prepared. If you have prepared very well, and with the help of charts, mnemonics and all those things, you can easily prepare within 1 day also. You can revise, let me not use the word prepare, you can easily revise.
क्योंकि रिवीजन के लिए तो आपके नोट्स जो होते हैं हमेशा कंसाइज होने चाहिए, छोटे होने चाहिए, देन ओनली यू विल बी सेविंग द टाइम ओवर देयर. और जब आप रिकॉल करते हैं इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स को, देन यू कैन इजीली रिकॉल वॉट एवर यू हैव स्टडीड इन डेप्थ. तो इट्स बेसिकली कि पहले आप इन डेप्थ स्टडी करिएगा, थॉरो स्टडी करिएगा, एंड आफ्टर दैट यू नीड टू गो विद वॉट एवर द नोट्स दैट यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड. इवन हमारा कैप्सूल भी अवेलेबल है फॉर यू स्टूडेंट्स, आप जरूर देखिएगा. अ क्विक रिफरेंसर करके नाम से हमारी वेबसाइट पे अवेलेबल है. देयर इन ऑल द सब्जेक्ट वी हैव कम अप विद द कैप्सूल. कैप्सूल मीन्स द मिनी वर्जन, अ मिनी you can say booklet or some sort of chapters for quick revision. तो काइंडली गो थ्रू दैट कैप्सूल्स. आपको एक दिन पहले अगर रिवाइज करना है, या आपको कुछ दिन पहले अगर अपने कंसेप्ट्स को रिवाइज करना है, तो आपको ये बहुत ही फ्रूटफुल एक सोर्स मिलेगा. एंड प्लीज काइंडली गो द अवेलेबल सोर्सेज फॉर यू, बिकॉज BoS हैज गिवन यू सो मेनी सोर्सेज कि आप एक बार उसकी वेबसाइट पे जाइए, एंड विल फाइंड मेनी ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट आर यूजफुल फॉर यू. सो जस्ट गो एंड जस्ट चेक इट आउट कि आपके लिए क्या क्या वहाँ पे अवेलेबल है.
So it's a capsule, you pop it and you can jaldi theek ho jaoge. So apart from that, we request you that for tomorrow's session, have a printout or readily available your COL capsule, the September 2022 edition, because through that we will be helping you to revise the chapter. These are some of the tips that we are giving you, so that some tip will be for some, they will feel that this tip is more useful for them, for some students something else. So जो हमें पता है and how we have been
because
helping
we are
the
sharing
students.
in general, अब जिसके जो काम की चीज है, यानी क्योंकि लर्निंग इज फ्रॉम एवरीवेयर, अब आपको देखना है कि आपको क्या चाहिए, क्या चीज आपके काम की, जस्ट गो विद इट.
So कल के लिए आप कैप्सूल जरूर लेके रखिएगा अपना. How to prepare for MCQs? Gauri, we will be discussing full case scenario. So we will be telling you section-wise, skill-wise session that
Already
Vandana
discussed,
ma'am
हाँ.
has already discussed.
And also it is available on the website. Just go with it and check it out. What are the prescribed section wise and skill weightage over there for the each and every paper.
And Sindhu has asked whether we should keep revising the provisions or the provision once and start practicing the questions. No. बेसिकली इस समय क्वेश्चन पूछना ही मुझे लग रहा है शायद आप प्रिपरेशन बच्चे अभी स्टार्ट कर रहे हो क्या, बट यू शुड नॉट डू दैट इवन इफ यू आर स्टार्टिंग राइट नाउ till the time you have read the provision twice or thrice and you have understood it, you should not start practicing on the questions.
वरना आप जस्टिफाई नहीं कर पाएंगे. यू विल डायरेक्टली गो टू द आंसर देन. तो वो आपका जो पर्पस है उस चीज को करने का पीछा वो सॉर्ट आउट नहीं हो पाएगा. तो इट्स बेटर टू हैव द कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बेटर टू हैव द नॉलेज ऑफ द प्रोविजन एंड देन start of the practicing of any of the questions.
Rest of the queries we will take later. So when for the examination, please refer the past year papers. For that, you can refer the suggested answers. Illustrative paper pattern is there. You know, division A comprises of the MCQs. MCQs consist of two things. One is your independent MCQs and your case scenario based MCQs. And they will be given to you within the time frame of 3 hours. You have to solve both division A and division B. The division B, which is of 70 marks, will be comprising of the descriptive questions. Paper pattern, like we have said, that the 30 marks MCQ, there will be two kinds of MCQ: case scenario, independent. Case scenario will be like there will be a scenario given and like full page kind of a scenario will be there, and it will be followed by 3 to 5 MCQs. In independent case scenario, it will be a short question kind of a thing, and there will be a single MCQ. Then for a descriptive question, 70 marks, question number 1 is compulsory. You have to attempt it compulsorily. Then out of the remaining 4 questions, that is question number 2 to 5, you have to attempt any 3 questions. And just keep a note of it that while attempting these questions, you can attempt it in any order. Like you can attempt first question number 5 instead of question number 2. But while attempting question number 5, just keep a tab of that. Do follow the sequencing within the question. Don't change it. And it should not be like I am writing question number 5A. Suppose then I feel, okay, 5B I don't like. So I don't want to attempt. So I am attempting 2B. You should not do this. The examiner, the paper checkers will not check the question. They will just question number 5 may they will be giving you marks only on this question. Question number 2 they will be giving marks on this. They will not be keep on juggling between the different questions. So once you have chosen a question, just stick to the order of the question. If you don't know any question, just leave the space and continue. Once you have time at the end or anything, you can come back to that question and attempt the question. At this point, I would like to add one more thing. You have to attempt 100 marks question.
This is what even I was about to tell कि भैया entire paper करना है, complete paper आपको करना है. तो प्लीज ये देख लीजिएगा कि आपका टाइम मैनेजमेंट आप कैसे करेंगे. That is to be taken care of.
If you attempt only 80 marks question, you might have done it to a very good level, but you will be getting answers marks only out of 80 marks. So if you know 80 marks, do it very in a good manner. You can get even 60 marks out of that. But don't leave those 20 marks. You can attempt it in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or even I would say 15 minutes are more than enough sometimes for 20 marks. Just think of it from this point of view. At least you will get 2 marks in those 15 minutes. Otherwise, you will be getting marks out of 80 only. So today we are in a hurry because we have to cover up everything. So overview of descriptive question paper. Question 1, as I told you, is a compulsory question. So 12 marks are from the Companies Act portion and 7 marks are from the other laws portion. This can be further divided into A, B or 1, 2, whatever, and this can also be divided. So for rest of the questions also, it's a similar thing. The first question is of 19 and the other questions are of 1770 marks each. So, ma'am, should we start with the technical things so that we can explain these things to them
Yes,
there itself?
absolutely. क्योंकि यहाँ पे हम जो चीज आपको बताएंगे वो हम आपको सोच रहे हैं कि हम आपको क्वेश्चंस लेते लेते ही उन्हीं चीजों को कवर अप करते हुए चले. इट विल सेव द टाइम आल्सो एज वेल एज विल ब्रिंग द क्लैरिटी टू द अंडरस्टैंडिंग. So with that, we should start up with the technical sessions.
Okay. So we will be starting and just a moment.
अगर जहां तक बात करें श्रद्धा, मुझे लगता है बच्चों ने अब तक तो एक बार तो सभी ने पढ़ लिया होगा ना. इट्स द टाइम फॉर द रिवीजन पार्ट एक्चुअली. तो आप सबको पता है कि आप सबकी कोर्स में क्या क्या है. आप सबको पता है कंपनीज एक्ट जो आपका 60% यानी 60 मार्क्स का है, वहां पे हम पढ़ रहे हैं अपने फ्रॉम सेक्शन 1 to 148 विच इज बीइंग कवर्ड अंडर सेक्शन अंडर चैप्टर 10. मतलब यहाँ पे 10 चैप्टर में हम अपने इतने से सेक्शन 1 से लेके 148 तक को कवर कर रहे हैं. जहां तक कंपनीज एक्ट की बात है माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, तो कंपनीज एक्ट का जब हम नाम सुनते हैं तो हमें सीधा पता चल जाता है इट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड टू द कंपनीज. जो कंपनीज को चलाने के लिए चाहिए, जो उसको मैनेजमेंट को चलाने के लिए, कंपनी को रन करने के लिए चाहिए, दैट एक्ट इज बीइंग रेगुलेटिंग द कंपनीज एक्ट 2013. So there amongst various types of the business organization, the company form is the most popular and the convenient form of the, you can say, business. And if you see that companies that is administered by the MCA, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. Even if you see to administer the Companies Act, to run the Companies Act, the proper management and working of the Companies Act, the central government can delegate its power to the authorities and the officers, except the power to make rules by issuing notification under section 458 of the Companies Act 2013. तो आपने जब देखा होगा कंपनीज एक्ट के अंदर रीजनल डायरेक्टर्स, देन आरओसी, एनसीएलटी, ये सब क्या है. मतलब हर जगह जगह पे आपको डिफरेंट अथॉरिटीज मिलती हैं टू whom the powers has been delegated by the central government. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो ये मैं आपको इसलिए प्राय समझा रही हूँ कि एवरीवेयर इन मेनी ऑफ द सेक्शंस यू आर टू गोइंग टू रीड विद दीज काइंड ऑफ द अथॉरिटीज, सो यू शुड नो द डिफरेंस इन दीज अथॉरिटीज ऑल्सो. तो जो रीजनल डायरेक्टर्स होते हैं, देयर आर रीजनल डायरेक्टर्स इन वेरियस प्लेसेस एंड जनरली they exercise control over the registrars. और जब हम आरओसी की बात करते हैं तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज एस्टेब्लिश्ड द रजिस्ट्रार ऑफ कंपनीज इन ईच स्टेट. और जो कंपनीज होती है हैव टू गेट इनकॉर्पोरेटेड इन द स्टेट इन विच दे आर हैविंग देयर रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस. और जो सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ इनकॉर्पोरेशन होता है इज गिवन बाय द आरओसी ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्टेट इन विच दैट रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस इज सिचुएटेड. और जितनी भी हमारी फाइलिंग होती है, चाहे एनुअल रिटर्न हो या जो भी अदर रिटर्न्स होते हैं, दे हैव टू बी फाइल्ड विद द रिस्पेक्टिव आरओसी of that particular state where that registered office being incorporated. और जो आरओसी का फंक्शन होता है, it supervises over functioning of the companies in that state. तो इनफैक्ट हम ये कह सकते हैं जो आरओसी होती है ना, उसके पास तो पूरी कुंडली होती है कंपनीज की. दे आर हैविंग द हॉरोस्कोप. तो इस तरह से जो आरओसी होती है उनका ये रोल होता है. अब फिर आरओसी के अलावा आप एनसीएलटी सुनते हैं, नेशनल कंपनी लॉ ट्रिब्यूनल. वो एक क्वासी जुडिशियल बॉडी होती है और इसका जुरिस्डिक्शन होता है to look after the amalgamation, mergers, winding up. और इसके अलावा जो इश्यूज होते हैं रिलेटेड टू ऑपरेशन एंड मिसमैनेजमेंट हो गया आपका, या फिर आप कह सकते हो रेक्टिफिकेशन ऑफ रजिस्टर मेंबर्स हैं, एटसेट्रा. मेनी थिंग्स आर देयर व्हिच आर बीइंग टेकन केयर दैट ऑल इश्यूज आर बीइंग लुक्ड अप बाय द एनसीएलटी. और कोई भी एनसीएलटी के अगेंस्ट अगर कोई ऑर्डर है, इफ यू वांट टू गो अगेंस्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर व्हाटएवर द ऑर्डर हैज बीन पास्ड बाय द एनसीएलटी, देन यू कैन गो टू द एनसीएलएटी, दैट इज द appellate body. So these are the bodies to whom the central government has delegated certain powers to run the companies, to manage the affairs of the company. तो ये तो जनरल वो था आपको कंपनीज के बारे में मैंने बताया कौन कौन सी अथॉरिटीज होती हैं. देन व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट नाउ कंपनीज एक्ट 2013, तो आप देखेंगे यहाँ पे हमारे 10 चैप्टर्स हैं जहाँ पे हमने अपने कंपनीज एक्ट को कवर किया है. जो फर्स्ट चैप्टर है हमारा, इट डील्स विद द कंपनीज. आपका प्रिलिमिनरी चैप्टर है जिसमें हमने वहां पर जो खास पॉइंट अगर देखा जाए, हमने कंपनीज एक्ट के बारे में बता रखा है कि ये एक्ट कब आया था, कब एनफोर्समेंट में आया, किस तारीख से, प्लस आप देखेंगे किस किस पे एप्लीकेबल होता है, इसका एक्सटेंट क्या है, किस किस एरिया पे इसकी एप्लीकेबिलिटी है, प्लस साथ ही साथ वी विल बी टचिंग अपॉन द वेरियस टर्मिनोलॉजीज एंड द डेफिनेशंस दैट आर बीइंग यूज्ड इन द एक्ट. हमने ये सब चीजें प्रिलिमिनरी में कवर किया हुआ था. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्कस ईच एंड एवरीथिंग इन डिटेल ओवर हियर. but yes, certain important concepts कह सकते हो, because at many times on these concepts generally the questions are being asked in the examination. और कुछ concepts ऐसे होते हैं भले वो examination में आए ना आए, but is being expected that students are aware. उनको पता होना चाहिए. अगर हम कंपनीज एक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं तो तुम्हें ये प्रियम्बल पता होना चाहिए कि भाई कंपनीज एक्ट है क्या. जनरली कंपनीज एक्ट इज अ एक्ट टू कंसोलिडेट एंड अमेंड द लॉ रिलेटिंग टू द कंपनीज. प्रियम्बल पता होना चाहिए, क्योंकि प्रियम्बल रिफ्लेक्ट्स कि भाई लेजिस्लेटर का इंटेंट क्या था, व्हाट वाज द इंटेंट बिहाइंड द इनैक्टमेंट ऑफ एनी ऑफ द एक्ट. ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. वैसे भी पता होना चाहिए, नॉट ओनली फ्रॉम द एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. कभी आप कहीं बाहर जाते हैं इंटरव्यू में, कहीं भी कभी भी आपसे प्रियम्बल को लेके पूछा जा सकता है. सो इट्स द लर्निंग जस्ट टू, मतलब ये कि आपके नॉलेज को और विस्तृत रूप देने के लिए और ब्रॉडर मतलब उसको एनलाइटन करने के लिए जस्ट एक आपको इंट्रोडक्शन दे रहे हैं कंपनीज एक्ट का. प्लस आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि कंपनीज एक्ट एनफोर्समेंट में कब आया था. तो यू ऑल मस्ट बी नोइंग दैट ऑन 30th of the August it was notified in the official gazette. और उस दिन on the very same only the section 1 of the Companies Act was made applicable. और बाद में उसमें आपने देखा कि कंपनीज एक्ट के डिफरेंट प्रोविजंस were made applicable from different dates that have been appointed for making the enforcement of the different provision. तो मतलब ये कि उसको different phases में उसको applicable किया गया, rather than in the single go all the sections were notified, they were made applicable in a phase wise manner. Major of the sections आपके 2013 सितंबर में आए थे, and then in 2014 अप्रैल के अंदर आपके major sections notify हुए थे, और after that slowly धीरे धीरे करके almost सारे ही sections आपके हो चुके हैं. अगर आप इसकी एप्लीकेबिलिटी की बात करते हैं, पहले तो मैं ये बात करती हूँ कंपनीज एक्ट आप ब्रॉडर उठाएंगे तो क्या क्या चीजों में डिवाइड है. आप देखेंगे जो कंपनीज एक्ट है ब्रॉडली इट हैज बीन डिवाइडेड इनटू, आप देखो उसके अंदर सबसे पहले नंबर ऑफ सेक्शंस लेते हैं तो 470 सेक्शंस हैं. नंबर ऑफ चैप्टर्स आर 29 और शेड्यूल कितने हैं आपके उसके अंदर 7. तो आपको ब्रॉडर ही पता चल गया कंपनीज एक्ट जो आपको इतनी मोटी बुक दिखती है बेयर एक्ट की, वो इसी चीजों की कंपाइल किया हुआ है. 470 सेक्शन, 29 चैप्टर्स एंड 7 शेड्यूल्स. प्लस ये किस किस पे एप्लीकेबल होता है. एप्लीकेबल की बात करें तो एक्ट में क्लियरली डिफाइंड है कि इट इज एप्लीकेबल ऑन द कंपनीज विच आर इनकॉर्पोरेटेड अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट, यानी दिस एक्ट यानी कि 2013 और अंडर एनी प्रीवियस कंपनी लॉ. ठीक है, किसी भी समय बनाओ, अगर वो किसी प्रीवियस कंपनी लॉ के अंदर भी अगर वो कंपनीज बनी हुई है तो भी ये माना जाएगा कि इसके ऊपर आज जो ये एक्ट आपका एप्लीकेबल है 2013 वाला, वो भी इक्वली एप्लीकेबल है. फिर आपका इंश्योरेंस कंपनी है, बैंकिंग कंपनी है, या कंपनीज प्रोड्यूसिंग इलेक्ट्रिसिटी या सप्लाइंग इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, देन कंपनीज रेगुलेटेड बाय स्पेशल एक्ट, या फिर एंटिटीज एज नोटिफाइड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. These are all the companies on which the Companies Act 2013 is very much applicable, except लेकिन उन्होंने वहां पर एक कंडीशन डाल दी है कि that should not be inconsistent with the provision of that specific act under which it is regulated. अगर इंश्योरेंस एक्ट है तो डेफिनेटली you have to see that it should not be inconsistent with the Insurance Act 1938, or if it is a banking act, the Banking Regulation Act, so it should not be inconsistent with the companies of the nature of the banking. So you must see that it should not be inconsistent with the specific act, क्योंकि जहाँ general act होता है specific होता है तो one can easily make out under the interpretation. It has been said that that the special act will prevail over the general act. ठीक है. And Harish Narayan R has said that requesting to speak in English only. Yes, Harish, we are maximum and to the greatest extent we will be speaking in English only. But yes, since many students are there who are from Hindi medium also, and considering that this session should be for benefit of all the students, so we are using the bilingual over here in this session. So we are trying, but yes, to the maximum extent possible, we will be in English medium only. But then at some places wherever required, we can use the Hindi language.
And we will try that if we are speaking something in English, we can translate to Hindi. And similarly, if we are speaking something in Hindi,
yes,
then we will
even at most of the places I am repeating the same thing, and I am trying to convey to both kind of the students, whether they are the English medium or of the Hindi medium.
Thank you.
Yes. So, and then in this chapter, we shall also be discussing the various terminology and definition has been covered over here. And you must be seeing that this definition clause, there are many definitions. Only we shall be touching upon some of the important definitions on which generally the questions are being asked in the examinations. And if you see just definitions, if you see from the interpretation point of view, since this is also the part of your syllabus, it is, you can see these are the internal aids to construction. And this can be of immense help in construing and interpreting the enactment or any of its part. So definition definitely has its own relevance. So in every act, you will be finding a definition section in order to make you understand the enactment everywhere, because terms are frequently used. So it brings and helps in the interpretation in what sense that particular terminology has been used in the act. So there are many important definitions. I hope that you all must be knowing an OPC, private company, public company, government company, and so on. But let's take it and understand to the way of the question, how the questions are being framed on these concepts, how they touch upon the important concept related to this definition of some of the important types of the companies. तो हम कुछ क्वेश्चंस लेते हैं. Let's take up the question in order to make you understand कि भाई nature question क्या हो सकता है and how we can give response or reply to the particular kind of the questions. And it happens that you may be finding these questions also in our many of the sources that are available. But yes, how to write and what are the requirements and how you can understand the question. That is why we have just taken over here questions to make you understand, to go with the requirement of the questions.
It will help you to understand that how the questions are to be read. Like the full, sometimes each and every line in a question is important. Sometimes what happens is not each and every, you have, though you have to read the whole question, but sometimes not the whole. Once you've read the question, you come to know that, okay, this is the requirement, only this is the relevant portion from which you have to answer the question. So in different questions, the strategy will be different. There cannot be a straight bracket formula. A plus B is equal to C. So this is not a chemistry paper, frankly speaking, because if you mix H2 plus O2, and that too in a ratio, H2 plus 2O2 is 2H2O, something like that.
That is hydrogen peroxide. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
And,
So something like that. So there cannot be a straight jacket formula. So here, every question will be different. The treatment will be different. The essence will be the same, but suppose the question is of 2 marks, your approach will change. If it's of 5 marks, your approach will change. So let's start.
yes, so let's take up the first question here with us. The question is given on your screen. You can read it. Yes, there was a company, Vienna Limited, which is registered as a public company, and the number of the members are given over here. So you can see the directors and their relatives are 15 numbers, employees 15, ex-employees 10, and the couples who are holding jointly the shares are 10 and others 145. So now you need to understand within the provided information. This is all the information and the facts given initially. Okay. Then now the question is, what question is asking for? The BOD of the company proposes to convert it into a private company. Okay. And also advise whether reduction in the number of the member is necessary. If you see, first thing is that there is a proposal of the BOD to convert into private company. So first you need to check out whether it can be converted into private company. That means you need to know the understanding of what is a private company, what are the requirements, and in order to get it converted, the public company to get converted into a private company. And also in line with the requirement of knowing the private company definition, you also need to have the understanding of the public company, because both these definitions are interrelated somewhere. So you need to know what are the important essentials in order to become a private company. So if you have already gone to the definition is being covered under section 2 clause 68 of the Companies Act. Though you are not required to remember the sections, of course, but why I am just telling, because so that at least you may remember it, because whatever you are going to hear it, definitely some it will go and catch in your mind and something you are going to retain it. And that is why I have just told the section number. This is section 2 subsection, or you can say clause 68. Clause is used in the Companies Act, so this is clause 68.
In section 2 only.
Yes.
At other places, it will be subsection.
Yes. So you can see when what the definition says about it, provides that what is a private company? Company means company having a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. First requirement, and second it says, and by which its articles, this is the exception, so we are leaving the exception part, limits the number of its member to 200. So the definition, apart from this particular requirement of limiting the number of the members, it contains other requirements also. But we are not taking that one here, because whatever the question asks for, let's take only that much requirement of the legal provision. Because then only, as someone has asked whether to write the whole provision, no, it's not required. You are required to lay down only that part of the legal provision which fulfills the requirement of the question. Since you can make it out, this question talks about the number of members. So we are considering the condition given for the private company with respect to the number of its member. So it's prescribed, the limit prescribed is 200. So you must be seeing that minimum paid up share capital. So let me tell you, as may be prescribed is given, that means something which may be prescribed by the rules. If you go in the definition, the prescribed is also being given over there, and it is said prescribed means whatever is to be given by the rules. But since the rule has not specified anything as of now regarding the minimum paid up share capital, so we consider here there is no share capital minimum, but yes, with respect to the number of the members, it is restricting to 200. Now, if you see, there are certain exceptions given under this definition. So you need to write that exceptions also. Then only you will be make it out whether the number given is in line with the requirement of the private company, or you need to reduce the number of the members as per the question. So if you can see, the requirements are given over here. Here they said when there are two or more persons and they are jointly holding the shares, so they will be treated as single member. Okay. And further provision also given that any person who are in the employment and who were formerly in the employment of the company when they were member of the company, or still they continue to be the member of the company, they are not to be included in the number of members. Means there are two conditions. One is talking about with respect to joint shareholding, where they shall be treated as a single member. Fine. And other one is talking about their employment, whether they are present employment or in the past they were the employee of the company or still they continued. Then you can see the next condition. One more condition. This is only the condition. Rest of the things are not being required to be considered over here, because as per the facts given in the question, these are only the required things that you need to given in your answer. So as per the whatever the provision we have mentioned, now you can see in line with that Vienna Limited may be converted into a private company. See how? You can see the number of members, director and relatives will be counted. Okay. Employees already said will not be included. Employees, ex-employees also will not be included, which is because these are the two categories who were specially been excluded from counting the number of the members. Then couples having joint shareholdings, that means they will be counted as one. So it will be taken as 5. Yes, it will be taken as 5 over here. And others will be taken as 145. So total it will be giving you 200. And as per the provision, the limit is 200. So it is within the prescribed limit. And therefore, there is no need in the reduction of members since they are in compliance with the requirement of the private company. So this is how you need to first read the question properly and what they are asking for. Catch those things and what are the provided information over there. Just read in line with that provided information and come up with your answer in line with whatever the provision mentioned. And you have to get only that much information of the legal provision that much is being needed to fulfill, or that much is able to give in compliance with the requirement of the question. That much information is sufficient of the legal provision. So this is the first question that we have given on private company. Now what happens? Now moving to the next is with respect to the public company. You must be seeing sometimes they may change little bit a scenario. In place of something, they may ask about the private or the public company also. Sometimes you have read the public company, they have said that basically what is public company? Very simply defined. It is being said that it is not a private company. And what is private company? Already I have told you. In private company, there are 2 or 3 conditions which has been fixed by articles. That condition needs to be taken into consideration. And if that condition is not there, then you can say it is a public company. And the minimum paid up share capital that may be prescribed, again it has not been yet notified, so we can consider that there is no minimum prescribed capital over here. And further, a proviso has been given with respect to the public company. So what is the proviso? When provided word is used many of the sections, Shraddha, the students are generally at the intermediate level, they are not able to understand what the proviso or provided means here. So if you see that provided is the condition or the clause actually, which is added to the provided statute, either to accept something from the enabling statute or clause or limited applicability. So whatever is given, either they will be excluding something from that or they are telling to access something from that out of that clause. So this is provided. So when you read the definition of this public company, so it says that provided that a company which is a subsidiary of a company, not being a private company, shall be deemed to be a public company for the purpose of this act, even when such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its article. What does it mean? There's a company which is a subsidiary company. Let's take it with an example. Suppose there is a company. Suppose there is a company, let's take it that way. A company which is subsidiary. So this is a AB Limited. Okay, this is a company. This you can see it is a public company because we have used the AB Limited over here. And that company is having a subsidiary company, A Private Limited. Okay. Now you are seeing that this is a subsidiary company and this is a holding company. Fine. Now what you have to see, what will be the nature of this company? So it is given under the proviso given under the public company. It says that a company which is a subsidiary company of a public company, though even the articles mention that it is a private company, shall be deemed to be continued as a public company. Yani ki here the A Private Limited shall be deemed to be public company. So you need to understand this concept very in a proper manner, because sometimes the question is being asked with respect to the nature of the company. They give the subsidiary company revealing that it's a private company of a public company, and then they ask any of the question in relation to that where any leverage or any benefits is given to the private company or not. So in that case, you have to have the clarity of understanding of this particular provision. Then moving to the next part, let's see. Then if that is the example that I've already explained you. Then moving to the next question. Next is the associate type of the company.
So moving on to next type of companies, we have the associate companies. See, whatever companies we are talking right now, be it private company, public company, we are reading it in relation to some other company. Like if the private company definition is given, but when we are dealing with public companies, then we have to definitely read the definition of private company. Similarly, associate company. What is an associate company? Associate means it has to be in relation to something else. So an associate company is a company which in relation to some other company, which is considered to be in relation to other company in which that other company has a significant influence. So किसी और कंपनी का इस कंपनी पे कोई significant influence होना चाहिए. So that brings us to a point that what do we mean by significant influence? Significant influence means the company should have a control, and they have defined a certain percentage, which is 20%. 20% of what? Either total voting power or control or participation in business decisions. Whatever definitions we will be covering now, you will see that the companies have to be read in relation to some other company. So like students face this problem that writing of keywords. So associate company will be considered in relation to another company in which that other company has significant influence. Directly then jump to the point that what do you mean by significant influence? And as we know that the further things that will be there, that you have to remember that since subsidiary company we know is something else and it has a control of something else percentage. So associate company is not a subsidiary company and it includes a joint venture. Next, moving on to the next definition, we have holding company. Holding company again will be in relation to some other company. And what is that other company? In relation to some company of which this company is a subsidiary. So, in relation to one or more companies, it means a company of which such companies are subsidiary companies. Simple definition. For that, we should move to other definition, which is a subsidiary company. Now, this will be an important definition because in this, you need to remember many things. First, subsidiary company in relation to any other company. What is that other company? Holding company. So we can write subsidiary company in relation to a holding company means a company in which the holding company, what does the holding company do? Either controls the composition of the board of directors or exercises control of at least 50%. There are two ways to write it. At least 50%, more than one half of the total voting power. So there are two ways to write the same thing. Either we can write at least 50% or more than one half. मतलब आपको 50 प्लस चाहिए, 50 से भी काम नहीं बनेगा. More than 50%, more than one half. Sorry, it is not at least, it is more than one half or more than 50% of what? Similar to the associate company. Total voting power, or it can do it on its own or together with one or more subsidiaries. Holding company का control होगा, चाहे be it by way of controlling the composition of board of directors or through voting power. Then other thing that is to be remembered is, in case of this, shares held in the fiduciary capacity are not to be counted for the purpose of seeing the holding and subsidiary relationship. Okay. Apart from that, we know that the holding company can hold two layers of subsidiaries. And then we have another concept, which is a small company. For small company, I will be reading a few lines directly from the Bear Act. And then I will tell you how you can do it. So as per section 2 clause 85, small company means a company other than a public company paid up share capital of which does not exceed 50 lakh rupees or such higher amount as may be prescribed, which shall not be more than 10 crore. And similarly, they have given the limit for turnover also. And then because it is written that as may be prescribed, so we have to go to the rules. As per the company's specification of definition detailed rules for the purpose of this clause, paid up share capital and turnover of the small company shall not exceed rupees 2 crores and 20 crores respectively. We cannot write such a language. So while writing the answer, you can simply write that small company means a company where the paid up share capital shall not exceed 2 crores and the turnover shall not exceed 20 crores. Then I can write another point. Provided that nothing in this clause, I can write it simply as however, this shall not apply to holding subsidiary relationship, company registered under section 8 and company governed by special acts, because whenever a company is governed by special act, that special act will prevail over it. One more point that is to be remembered is that a small company, they have written small company means a company other than a company, public company. So what does that mean? That it's a private company. Normally we can say. So while writing the answer, it's very easy for you now. You have to write small company means a company in which the paid up share, point 1, which the paid up share capital shall not exceed or does not exceed, you can write the language, exceed 2 crores, and because both the conditions have to be fulfilled, point number 2, turnover does not exceed 20 crores for the immediately preceding financial year. That is, you can write this line, for the immediately preceding financial year, and such company shall be other than a public company. Either write this line or you can write such company shall be a private company. And you can write the proviso if it is needed. So let's move on to a question through which you can write this answer. Understand it better. MNP Private Limited, there is a company and they have written it's a private limited company. So I know because it's a small question, small company related question. So one thing that is to be seen as it's a private limited company. It's registered under the Companies Act with a share capital of 70 lakh and turnover of 30 crores. Examine whether it can be treated as a small company. So the first question is whether MNP Private Limited can avail the status of small company. Obviously, there will be some benefits to the small company. That's why a private limited company wants to avail the status of a small company. So we have seen in this question that first question, it is fulfilling one thing, that it's a private limited company, that is it's other than a public company. And now we have to see the other two things. One is this, we have written the exact provision, but when you will be writing in the examination, you cannot write verbatim. So I have told you how to write it. While see, first we have written the legal provision. Here we have even written the rule, but I have told you how to write it. Then after writing the legal provision, we have come onto the part how to solve it, that we have written that in the present case, MNP Private Limited cannot be converted, or first we have written these facts, is registered with the paid up share capital of 70 lakh and turnover of 30 crore. Then we have here only written the conclusion. Since only one criteria is fulfilled, as you know, that they have to have a turnover of maximum 20 crores, that is not exceeding 20 crores, and they are not fulfilling because they have a turnover of 30 crores. So since only one criteria is fulfilled and the provisions required both the criteria to be met, so this company cannot avail the status of a small company. Then the second part of the question was, suppose the turnover was 15 crore, then we can accordingly write the answer. If turnover is 15 crore, then both the criteria will be fulfilled and the MNP can avail the status of a small company. So this is how the provision is to be read in line with the given question and then draw the correct conclusion. So one student is asking that Banna Reddy, can we use not less than 50%? Okay. Actually, the exact line that is there in the act is excises control more than one half. So one half is 50%. 50% says zyada, more than 50%. So more than 50% can be 50.5 also.
Yes.
So instead of using 51%, which will not be, it is generally 51%, 52% in practical, but exact language of law is not, it should be more than one half. So it is like this is a very good question. Sometimes what happens that this is the thing. If you see in this turnover wala question, we are writing not more than 20 crores. So till 20 crores, it can avail the exemption. More in the subsidiary company, we are saying more than one half. Matlab one half tak bhi nahi chalega. It will not be till one half. It has to be more than half, one half. So these are finer intricacies of law which you need to have a look at.
Because if any provision is made, the lawmakers thinks many times what can be the repercussion of using of the any languages, because interpretations sometimes draw different meanings. So they use the words very diligently and carefully to come up with the correct things in the given scenarios, and that is why whatever the word is being used with respect to the limitation or with respect to any of the voting rights or something like that, it should be given or read as it is given in the act.
So we cannot use less than 50%, Banaredi. Then the next part is we have seen that so many types of companies are there, and companies are working for profit.
Yeah, one more question is asked by Banna Reddy, that number of member in the given company is also 200. So can convert, if asking with respect to the procedure of the conversion, that is being regulated by different section. But here, considering the number of the members, if it is restricted to 200, 200 is the maximum limit. If it more than 200, then they need to reduce and to be restricted up till 200.
Yes.
So in that case, since in the question it is up till 200 itself, it is covering within the prescribed limit. It is the prescribed limit, maximum limit. So it does not require to reduce the number of the member in the said first question that we have discussed so far.
So we have seen that the companies are there, and for profit they are working, and how they will know what profit they are earning. For that, they need to know financial statements. We are teaching you financial statements. We will just taking a glimpse of it, but do remember it, because this definition will be used again tomorrow. So financial statement in relation to a company. See, in relation to a company includes कि ये होगा. What it includes the balance sheet. It includes the profit and loss account. And if it's a company not for profit, then income and expenditure account. It will be including the cash flow statement. It will be including the statement of equity of changes in equity if it's applicable for the company, and any explanatory note for all of the four things that we have told. And then there is an exception. So what is that exception? That in case of an OPC, small company, dormant company, and a private company, which is a startup, these companies' financial statement may not include a cash flow statement. So if you will like tomorrow or today only, if you see the capsule, this thing has been given through a diagram. So now that thing is in my mind, that financial statements, income and expenditure in case of a not-for-profit organization, and profit and loss account in case of normal company, then cash flow statement, explanatory, and statement of equity of changes. Those things will help me to remember things, but the lines that I will be speaking will be of my own. If you see, we are not speaking the lines of the act, because for that we also have to read. So since we have read those lines again and again and again, so we are able to speak and write. Similarly will be the case with you guys. So moving on to further with this session, I will just take a few queries. Banna Reddy, you have said that capsules are updated as per amendment. Chapter 9 and 10, the capsule for September 2021 is updated. For rest of the capsules, you can refer the earlier capsules, the September, October, and November 2019, but they are too old. You need to revise them, and then you can use the Feb 2022. 22 for Indian Contract Act, since nothing has been changed in the Indian Contract Act, so you can use it as it is. Apart from that, how much time for solving MCQs? Total 3 hours are given to you. Within those 3 hours, you have to attempt the full 100 marks. MCQ plus descriptive. And there is one more, that what to be revised in 1.5 days before exam. Everything is to be revised. If you have studied properly, you can surely revise. There is no problem with that. And we will be helping you how to revise through capsules or the notes you have made. It is very important that you have your notes with you, be it from anywhere, but you should have read a detailed book and then only refer those notes. Then only they will be helping you in writing the exam. You can learn from those capsules, you can understand from those capsules, you can retain from those capsules, but ultimately the lines have to come from the detailed book that you have referred. So I think there is one more question, that what is the sequence of case study, like first provision and first fact? I think you are asking this in with respect to descriptive questions.
Yes.
So I think we have told you with this 285 question. Moving on to further. Let's start with our chapter number 2.
Yes. So we have so far completed chapter number 1. Now we are moving to the next chapter of the Companies Act, is the chapter number 2, which deals with the incorporation of the companies and the matters incidental thereto. So in this chapter, we shall be discussing about how the company is being incorporated and registered, and what are the requirements for filing of a documents with respect to this notice of giving the situation of the registered office, letter of approval of the name clause, etc., the power of attorney with respect to execution of documents. So these are what are the requirements in order to bring the company into the incorporation. Basically, if you see, a company comes into an existence is generally by a process referred to as incorporation. Okay, and once a company is being legally incorporated, it becomes a distinct entity from its member. So at that time the company is being incorporated, it is being done under 3 phases. Three common stages are there generally. First stages is with respect to the promotion of the company. You just bring an idea how to give a birth to the company and how you're going to proceed with. The first is the promotion of the company. Then second stage is the incorporation of the company. And third stage is with respect to subscription of the capital. So when you just these stages are being complied with, then you come with the existence of the company on records. So what are the documents that are being required for the incorporation of the company? The first thing is the submission of the documents. After once you have thought how to bring the company to the existence, what are all the requirements, the compliances, the procedural part that need to be complied with in order to bring the company into existence, or you can say for the registration or and the incorporation of the company. So the important documents basically which is being required at the time of the incorporation of the company is the memorandum of association and article of association. These are the 2 documents which are submitted while when you are filing other documents for the incorporation. So this memorandum has been defined in preliminary chapter only, where the terminology has been defined under section 2 clause 56. Again, I am repeating this subsection just for remembering some of the important subsections and sections. So here under section 2 clause 56, the term memorandum has been defined. So memorandum is a root document or a corporate document that contains the basic details about the companies. Okay, so memorandum means the memorandum of association of the company as originally framed or as altered from time to time in pursuance of any previous company law or of this act. Means what has been originally submitted, that framed and submitted, that is the memorandum, and whatever alteration that we have made from time to time, either in pursuance of any previous act or under this Companies Act 2013, it will be known as a memorandum of association. So generally this memorandum of association contains the object for which the company is being framed, and therefore it identifies the possible scope of its operation. Okay. And second thing, important thing of memorandum is that company cannot depart from the provision that is being given in the memorandum. And it cannot enter into a contract or engage in any trade or business which is beyond the power which is given or conferred by it in the memorandum. And if it does so, it would result into the ultra vires of the company that is beyond its power, and that shall be said to be void. That means whatever the object has been prescribed, whatever the scope of its operation has been prescribed, the company cannot act beyond that particular powers that has been authorized or conferred under the memorandum. And if it does so, then definitely that act of the company will be said to be ultra vires and it shall be considered as void. This is the memorandum. Generally, in the memorandum of association, you will be finding the relevant clauses is the name clause, to which deals with the name with which the company is registered. Okay. And then domicile clause with respect to the place where this registered office is being situated, to specify the place or the state in which this registered office is being incorporated. And then object clause, with what object the company has been incorporated, the object of the company for which it is being formed and it's going to be operating. Then it enables the shareholders, the creditors, or other dealing with the company to know the scope of the work that can be undertaken by the company under the object clause. And any act which is done beyond this specified object clause is ultra vires, and that will be void. This is generally about the memorandum, what all the clauses are being covered. But sometimes after few time of operation of the company, you feel like to change your object of the company. Suppose you feel like that you want to increase the scope of your operations, so at that time you can make alteration in the memorandum of clause. So where these alteration provisions are given, it is given under section 13 of the Companies Act 2013. And question comes on this alteration of the memorandum. You can see the past written papers. Frequently, the questions are being asked on these sections, section 13. They ask the procedure how the object of the company can be changed, how the memorandum laying down the object of the company can be changed. So it simply says that if you want to change the name clause, what are the basic requirements? You should know that SR. SR is the main required for alteration of memorandum, whether it may be containing the name clause, whether it may contain the domicile clause, or whether it may be related to the object clause. So you need the SR to be passed, okay, along with the approval of CG, okay, and somewhere it also needs to be published in the newspaper, and also giving an exit opportunity to dissenting shareholders in case where the company has raised the money through the prospectus and the money has been unutilized. So you need to go to the provision of what the provision says about, and what are the requirements for making the alteration in the memorandum under the different clauses. So read it carefully, so that accordingly, if a question is being asked with specific with respect to any of the change in the clauses of the memorandum, so accordingly you can mention what the compliance is needed to be complied with. Similarly, the next important document is the Article of Association. Yes, the Article of Association document is a document actually, and it contains the rules and regulation for the management of the company. It is designed by the company. Okay, so in the Article of Association also, sometimes we need to make the changes. So in that case, for internal working of the company, when we need to make the changes in the articles, so there is a provision. Again, it says about how the alteration can be made in the Article of Association. So you need to be again done it by passing an SR, okay? And alteration of association may include the conversion of private company to public company or vice versa. However, when there is a conversion of public company to private company, there you need the approval of CG. So this you need to mention in the SR. You have to seek the following compliances, the approval of the central government, and the alteration of article of association, but this approval of the CG that we have taken for conversion, or that to be filed with the ROC within 15 days. That also need to be done. And alteration once registered will be valid if it were originally contained in the AO article of association. So this is how the alteration in the alteration of association can be made with the following requirements. We should know the procedure, because the questions are asked on the basis of this procedure also. They will give you certain situation, and then they will ask how the alteration in the given situations can be made under the Companies Act 2013. Then further, let's take a question in order to understand about the concept related to this article of associations. You must be come across with the famous doctrine of indoor management and the doctrine of constructive notice. What are all these things? Basically, when you see this doctrine, nowhere it is covered in the act actually. These are all which has been derived from the case laws. These are all the circumstantial. This has been depending upon the facts and the circumstances of the case, and from there itself, these theories have been derived. You can see here we have taken up a question just for your understanding of this particular doctrine. The person who is not a member dealing with the company are always protected by the doctrine of indoor management. Now explain. First question you are seeing is the explain. मतलब you have to read the question properly, because what happens, आपको यहाँ पे doctrine of indoor management theory को समझाना भी है, and also explain when doctrine of constructive notice will apply. कई बार ये होता है कि कई बार हम बिना समझे या तो सिर्फ डॉक्ट्रिन इंडोर मैनेजमेंट डॉक्ट्रिन के बारे में ही सिर्फ लिख के आ जाते हैं, एंड नॉट एक्सप्लेनिंग आइदर द कंस्ट्रक्टिव नोटिस डॉक्ट्रिन, और समटाइम्स वी आर not able to make it out what exactly the question asks, and simply laying down what do we understand just by reading of the question, just explaining only the indoor management in layman's language. Now, what is meant by doctrine indoor management theory? If you see, it is said that once you are being satisfied that the transaction is in accordance with the memorandum and article of the association, then the person who is outside person who is dealing with the company need not to inquire whether the internal proceedings related to company are followed correctly. They are considering that everything has been done in proper compliance, proper meeting has been conveyed, proper resolution has been passed with respect to that particular contract or the proceedings or the transactions. So it does not need to inquire again about whether it has been made correctly or not. So in that case, what happens? They are entitled and considering that these proceedings are done in a regular manner. So this doctrine in fact provides a protection to the external members from the company and states that the people are entitled to presume that internal proceedings are as per the documents submitted with the ROC. Okay, so even this doctrine of indoor management is providing the protection. They are providing the protection to the outsiders from the company, considering that every procedure has been complied properly and correctly as per the documents. And whereas the doctrine of constructive notice is just the opposite, it's just the exception to the doctrine of indoor management. In that case, what happens in doctrine of indoor management? There you can see it protects the company against the outsiders. The doctrine of indoor management protects the outsiders. This is the one difference. And constructive notice is just the opposite. They protect the company against the outsiders. But there is an exception. And the exception to that indoor management theory is known as the doctrine of constructive notice, when the outsider will not be given the benefits. So that has been given through the way of constructive notice when they have the knowledge, when the outsiders have the knowledge of the irregularity within the company. Then at the time, no person can avail the benefit of the indoor management. Okay. Second important point is about the negligence. With little efforts or with due diligence, if a person can discover that certain negligence has been taken place, then the benefit of rule of indoor management would not apply. So that is taken if it can be easily discovered in that case. Third point is forgery. So it says that forgery, with respect to forgery, nothing can validate forgery. Remember this one key point, that nothing can validate any kind of the forgery. So this rule does not apply where any person relies upon the document and that document turns out to be forged. So in that case also, you can see the outsiders cannot avail the benefit of the indoor management theory. Forgery is a forgery. So in these three circumstances, the indoor management doctrine is being not applied. And in these three cases, the constructive notice doctrine is being applicable. Please understand that doctrine of constructive notice is an exemption to the doctrine of indoor management theory. Now moving to the next part. Next question. Let's take the next question. Yes, the question is saying about Anishka Security Equipment Limited is a manufacturer, okay, of a CCTV cameras. The company raised 100 crores through public issues of equity shares for starting one more unit of CCTV camera manufacturing. Okay, now it utilized certain amount, 10 crore rupees, and then realized that existing business has no potential for expansion. So it reduced and so it thought ki bhai chalo let's to switch over from that thing to the other business of developing the mobile app development business by adding the new object in the memorandum of association. Now the question is asking, does the Companies Act allow such change of object? And if not, then what advice will you give to the company? And if yes, then what steps to be followed? Read the questions properly, what exactly it's talking about. Question is asking whether the company is allowed to change object. Yes, as already I have told you about the memorandum, there is an object clause where yes, you can alter the object. Okay, and the compliance part is also said on the passing of the SR plus on the website, posting on the website of the company, as well as seeking the permission or giving an exit to the dissenting shareholders, as in exit options. So in this question, you see the section 13 as audited, which deals with the alteration of the memorandum. It says that as per the this provision, wherever the company has raised a money from the public through prospectus, and that amount is still unutilized out of the money so raised, and shall not change its object for which it has raised the money through the prospectus, unless SR is passed. As already told, that SR is the requirement to be passed by the company in order to bring the alteration in the memorandum.
If you see any alteration in the memorandum,
SR is required.
SR to be passed, and other
Approval,
conditions are different. So keep it in mind that SR to be passed whenever there
But
has
just make it a point, whenever there is a change in the AOA or MOA, in both the SR is the common thing. And then the other requirement may be either seeking of approval of CG or some other
Yes.
requirement,
dissenting
additional.
shareholders, or if
publication on the website and all
yes.
that. So that you need to remember as per the change that has been suggested under this provision. So that you need to take care of. But SR is the common thing in all kind of the alteration that is to be made. So here is given, unless an SR is passed, you cannot change. You are being required to comply with this part. Further, this act main things talks about, since here the company has, you can see that company has unutilized amount. Yes, they have raised money from the public through prospectus.
They have raised 100 crores, and still 100 only 10,
10
crores
crores
have been utilized.
Yes.
So still 90 crores are unutilized. For that you have a separate provision, but then also you have to pass a SR. That's a common thing. So when you are reading a question, you need to be very careful. Writing just the SR will not help, because in this case some of the things will tend to be different.
Yes, because here the unutilized amount of money is so raised, it shall not change its object unless and until, along with the SR, the other requirements of details in respect of the resolution is to be published in the newspaper. Along with that, a dissenting shareholder should be given the opportunity to exit. So these two requirement also is to be mentioned over in the answer. And then you are being need, then the this certificate, this SR plus this filing of copy of the SR needs to be filed with the other documents with the ROC, and they will certify the registration within 30 days. And this alteration will become effective only after the certificate of the ROC.
These all things are done with the object of protecting the investors, the shareholders and other investors in the company, because their hard-earned money is invested. So whenever you see a provision, like, you cannot write this on the paper, but the thing is, this will give you an impetus that why, whenever you have a why to a provision, it will be easy for you to remember it. Like in this question, why they are doing so much of things? Because there is still amount that is lying unutilized. Why in the definitions, few of the definitions in relation to other company was given, because every definition, holding subsidiary, not small, holding subsidiary, then private, public, associate, they have to be read in relation to some company.
Yes.
So these are few things, and definitely they will improve the quality of your answers, apart from being very much having a deep understanding of the provision, because only these things will not happen. These things will enhance the quality of your answer.
So if we conclude just on the basis of, we have to come with a conclusion also.
Yes.
Because conclusion also has the marks already told to you. So we can write the conclusion line with the provision that we had added, that we have mentioned over here, that company can add the object of mobile app development, which they have changed it in its memorandum and diverted the public money into that business. But they need to comply with the set requirement that already we have elaborated and explained.
So students, here we will be taking a 2 minutes break, and right now it's 4:27. So let's take a 3 minute break for, we will be meeting you again at 4:30. So it's a 2 minute break, 2 to 3 minutes break. See you at 4:30.
Let's start. Okay. Welcome back, students. So we are through with the important concept related to memorandum and article of association and its alteration. Now move to the other important concept is the one-person company. It is very important from the examination point of view because at many times the question is being tested from that particular definition. How does the formation of the company takes place? OPC and how the members are being appointed, what are the requirements, how the nominee is being appointed, and what are their rights, and as well as the conversion part. So questions are randomly or they can frequently being asked from these questions. So please understand the concept deeply in order to understand the concept in a good manner so that you will be able to answer your during the examination in a better way.
So before starting with that, there was one question from Banna Reddy and Bharat. So for government companies, should it be written as 51% minimum, ma'am? Yes, correct. The reason being, the exact language of law is not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is to be held by central government or state government or some or a combination of state government and central government. So the line used is not less than 51%. So it means at least 51% or minimum 51%, not less than. So it has to be 51% and above. Not less than का मतलब हुआ 51% and above. Okay. So with respect to OPC, what do we mean by OPC? OPC is, as the name suggests, a one-person company. So a single person, one person is the member of that company. If there is only one person, then let's try to revise it here because we are hoping that you must have already read it. OPC, one person company. That is, a single person is the member of the company. Point number 2. If there is only one person, let's try to remember. So, if something happens to him, that means there should be some person. Let's call him a nominee. So, the memorandum of the OPC shall specify the name of a person, bracket, nominee, who shall, in the event of the death of the subscriber or the member, be treated as the member. Member means here the director, but we are using the word member. So there should be some rules with respect to both of these, nominee and the prime member, that is member and the nominee. They should be only natural person who should be a citizen of India. And whether resident, there are two things. He should be a natural person, Indian citizen, but whether resident in India or otherwise. Both the things are applicable for the member of the OPC as well as the nominee. And for deciding the residential status, 120, the person has to stay in India for a period of not less than 120 days. The line written is not less than 120 days. Means minimum 120 days he has to stay in India. So the member has appointed the nominee. Suppose the member wants to remove that nominee, he is allowed, and he has to, with the prior written consent, he can change the name of the nominee he can change the nominee. And what will be the rules with respect to the nominee? The nominee has to give a prior written consent. Okay, and that consent has to be filed with the ROC. The way this member has the right to change the nominee. Similarly, the nominee is also given a right that he can withdraw his consent. So, apart from this, what else can be there in the nominee? There is a proper sequencing for all these things. You can remember it. Now, there is one more thing that only a natural person we have seen, and suppose there is a private company and the member wants to appoint a private company as a member of as a nominee for OPC. Will it be allowed? No, because only a natural person can be appointed as a nominee in a OPC. If we are appointing a nominee, what is the use of nominee? That in the case of the death of the member or the subscriber to the memorandum, that nominee shall take up that position. So the party which will be nominated as a nominee has to be both the member and the nominee. They cannot be minor. Okay. And neither they can hold any shares and beneficial interest in the OPC. Apart from that, there is one more important in this whole concept of this OPC is that where a person has become a nominee in the OPC by the event that something has happened to the member, then they have to fulfill the criteria for becoming the member within 180 days. So there are two limits. One is for resident, that what will be the limit for resident? It is 120 days in the immediately preceding financial year. And if the person who becomes the member by virtue of his earlier being a nominee in the OPC, in that case, he has to fulfill the criteria of becoming the member within 180 days. So now we, like students were asking that how can we revise the things, for what duration should be there? Like right now I am even explaining you things, but when you will be revising, we started at around 4:31 and it's 4:38. Within 7 minutes we have revised the concept of OPC, wherein we are somewhere telling you how to revise it. If you are revising it with on your own, it will not take more than 3 to 4 minutes to revise this concept. So let's understand this concept more with the help of an example, and it will solve the query of many of the students who were asking that how should we go about by answering the MCQ. Independent MCQ you can definitely answer once you have understood how to solve the case scenario based questions. So this is a case scenario that was there in one of our RTPs. I will not be going into the details of the question. Like if I will be just telling you what is the gist in this question. There is one Mr. Ramesh, and his business is flourishing and all those things are written. Then in coming times, his friend asked him that why don't you convert your business into a one person company from proprietorship. So he thinks that okay, this is a good idea, and he incorporates an OPC. So now he is fulfilling two conditions here. He becomes, the number one OPC which is there, it's his OPC1, in which he himself, Mr. Ramesh, is the member. And in this OPC1, because he needs a nominee, he keeps his mother, Sudha, as a nominee. Then his business is again flourishing and he is starting something else also. So he opens one more OPC. So the name of the other OPC is Rachna Milk Products, and that is with the name of OPC. See, the name of the OPC is Rachna Milk Products OPC Private Limited, if you see the question. So it is fulfilling this condition also. So there are two OPC. One is OPC1 and in another OPC, that is OPC2. He keeps Rachna, his wife as a member and director, and he himself becomes a nominee. One thing that I forgot to tell you while revising the concept was a person can be a member on only one OPC. Okay, so here we see this table is showing that the Ramesh is a member in only one OPC, and in another OPC he is the nominee. Okay, now what happens is after some time, Sudha, mother of Ramesh, expires. However, before she expired, she has made a will through which she has told that her other son, let me just read the name, Suresh will be the nominee in OPC1, for in which this Mrs. Sudha was the nominee. So when this Suresh, the brother of Ramesh, comes to know about the will, he starts fighting with his brother Ramesh and says that you should honor the will of the mother and you should keep me as the nominee. But what happened was, by this time, Ramesh, there are two things. Ramesh did not want to keep his brother as the nominee, so he does not appoint him. In the meantime, due to the fights of both the brothers, what happens is Rachna, the wife of Ramesh, becomes mentally ill. That is, she becomes incapacitated to contract. And even the Contract Act is not covered here, but you need to remember that whenever a person is not able to have the capacity to contract, similar is the case with minor, which we told, so they will have to vacate that position. Okay, so Rachna became mentally ill and became insane, so lost her capacity to contract. In this situation, Ramesh, being the nominee in OPC2, became member and director of OPC2. So what will happen? Let's come to the condition. What will happen? The table will now change. So in OPC1, member and director will be Ramesh and the place of nominee will be empty. Similarly for OPC2, also Ramesh, this position is not given, but you have to gauge it. Ramesh will become the member and director due to incapacity of Rachna to contract. Now let's move on to question. Now we will be reading line by line of the question. Since Rachna became insane, lost the capacity to contract, Ramesh, who was the nominee, became the member of OPC2. Who will make the nomination for this OPC? We know that every member has to make a nomination for OPC. Who is the member now? Ramesh. Okay. So let's read the option. Ramesh, in the capacity of husband of Rachna, can nominate? No. Why? He is not in a position to nominate him being in the capacity of a husband of Rachna. No. Since he has become the member, that's why he can nominate a person as a nominee in OPC2. So, though we have shown that answer 2 is correct, what is the third point? C. When no person is nominated, the central government will make a nomination. Okay, this could have been true. There might be some provisions, but if we read the B point, it is Ramesh, who was a nominee of OPC2, has now become a member of this OPC and now as a member of this OPC can nominate any person as per his choice. This is the most appropriate answer. So C is also cancelled. Now let's come to D part. What is the D part? When no person is nominated, the registrar shall order the company to wound up. Basically, point number C and D could be true in some senses. Right now, they are not, because point B is the ultimately correct answer. And point number C and D have nowhere been mentioned in the provisions of OPC. So you have to choose the best and the correct answer, which is point number B. Moving on to next, whether conversion of OPC2 into a company governed by section 8 is permissible. We have given some more facts with related to this. Request you to go to the RTP and you can read it from there. So one of the provisions says that section 8 companies can be converted or not. What is our question? Is it talking about the conversion of section 8 companies, or is it talking about the conversion of OPC into section 8? It is talking about the conversion of OPC into a section 8. So this OPC cannot be converted into section 8. Yes, it can be converted. That's the wrong answer. B, It's a correct answer. But let's see what are point number C and D also. This can be converted into a Section 8 company provided central government give the license. The straight answer was the rules say that OPC cannot be converted. So there is no question that whether even if the central government provides a license, because when we will be seeing the provisions related to Section 8 companies, at that time we can see that a license is to be provided for Section 8 companies. These options are given to confuse you. In this case, answer B is the correct answer. Moving on to the third MCQ, Ramesh is a member in OPC 1, we know that, and became a member in OPC 2. Why? Due to incapacity of the Rachna to contract. Okay, they have given a certain date also, that is 2nd April 2020. So, I just now told you that you have to meet the eligibility criteria within 180 days. So, if we calculate from 2nd April, so 28 days in April. So let's calculate 180 days. So 2nd April ko such thing has happened when he has become a member. So this date will be excluded. So 28 days in April, then May is 31, May, June, July, August. So it will come if I add September also. If I add September also, it will be more than 180 days. So September में हमें कुछ दिन reduce करने पड़ेंगे. So what is this? Till here it will be 151 days. So 180 minus 151 will be 29 more days. So the date will be 29th of September. 20. So, year 2020. So this will be your correct answer. Then the fourth MCQ is after the demise of Sudha. There is one more thing that I would like to tell. Some students get confused here by 120 days. So a date can be there with 120 days also. So you need to be careful that what the question is asking. Is it dealing with the resident wala thing, or is it dealing with the meeting of eligibility criteria within 180 days? So the next question is 1.4. After the demise of Sudha, mother of Ramesh, Rachna was nominated by Ramesh for OPC 1. Okay, we are saying that in the will we have written Rachna this. Sudha said that her son Suresh will be there, but Ramesh being the nominee has said that his wife Rachna will be the nominee. But now Rachna has become insane, so what recourse will you suggest to Ramesh? Ramesh is required to nominate another person as nominee. This is correct. Why? Because he being the member, he has the capacity to nominate. And the will not prevail. There is an importance of the word here, another. So let's move on to the next also. Ramesh should wait till Rachna becomes good of her health and able to have the capacity to contract this. Do you think? You don't know for how long will it continue. So this is not a correct answer. Although Rachna has become insane, but if she is able to sign, her nomination in OPC 1 may continue. This is also not correct because she has lost her capacity to contract. Sudhanshu, the chartered accountant, who helped in incorporation of OPC 1, may act as legal consultant on behalf of Rachna. With due respect, this was one of the answer which has been put as correct by many of the students because it seems very logical. Sudhanshu is a friend of Ramesh and he has helped Ramesh in so many things, may act as a legal consultant on behalf of Rachna. He can be a legal consultant, but Rachna is not able to is not able to have contracts on her own basis. So this also becomes wrong. So we come on to this point. Ramesh is required to nominate another because Rachna is not there, another person as nominee. We hope so that this would have solved many of the queries that how you need to answer the MCQs.
Because in MCQs must be seeing that the options are so near and confusing. So it needs that you should have a conceptual clarity of the concept related to the OPC, particularly in specific who can be appointed as a member. Further, it can be seen the number of requirement of the days if he is a resident of India or otherwise, and also with respect to where is he appointed as a member by this pursuance of his being nominee in that company. So these things needed to be understood clearly in order to solve the OPC, because these are the certain issues which are many times being touched in the questions in order to check your understanding of the concept.
So, in this, we have been again and again talking about Section 8 companies also. Moving further, so what are Section 8 companies? These are companies not for profit, and obviously they will be given some benefits, and there should be a certain objects with which they will be formed. What will be the object of these companies? The object of these companies shall be to promote commerce, science, art, education, research, social welfare, protection of environment, religion, etc. We are saying Section 8 and we are saying not for profit. So
they are for charitable purposes.
Charitable purposes. Yes. So you can link it in Income Tax Act also. And you can link it with accounts. You have a chapter wherein you have companies which are not for profit. So we are saying not for profit. So their object should not be to earn profit. What if they earn profit? That profit should be utilized in promotion of its object with which they are formed. And since it's a company, so can it have dividend? It cannot distribute dividend. This is a very important point in Section 8 companies. It cannot distribute dividends. So we have seen the object has to be to promote charitable objects and application of profits, how that can be done. It is a limited company, but without the addition of the words limited or private limited. They have to take this permission to act as a non-profit organization from whom? The authority, that is the central government. So the central government will grant them the status of Section 8 companies. However, central government can delegate this power to whomsoever they may like. Right now, they have given the power to the ROC. Suppose the not-for-profit organization does something which was not within its object or fulfills or disregards the conditions for which it was given the license. In that case, the central government may revoke its license and it will then not be treated as a Section 8 company. So, if it not fulfills the conditions given Section 8 companies, or the affairs of the companies are managed in a fraudulent manner or prejudicial to public interest, then the central government has the power to revoke its license. And what will happen once the license is revoked? It has to use the word. जो से benefits मिले थे, they will be taken back. So it has to use the words limited or private limited. Can a Section 8 company convert into any other company? It can convert into any other company after complying with the conditions that are prescribed. So the line that is generally written is after complying into such conditions as may be prescribed. Very simple line, but you can also write after complying with the prescribed conditions, even a smaller line. As may be prescribed, you can write after complying with the prescribed conditions. There are certain benefits to these companies. Few are that these companies can call its journal meeting by giving a shorter notice of 14 days. We will be discussing that notice and all those things also. It does not have a minimum requirement of number of directors, independent directors. These provisions do not apply to them. And they need not constitute a nomination and remuneration committee and shareholders relationship committee. Basically, benefits are provided so that people can operate more easily even when they are not earning profit, and they can utilize all their profits for the promotion of the object and not on things for regular management of the company. So this was all about OPC and Section 8. There is one more very important concept, which is subsidiary company shall not hold shares in its holding company. Why?
If you see Section 19, it talks about that subsidiary company shall not be holding any shares, and neither holding company will be allotting or transferring its shares to any of the subsidiary company. If it is being done, then such allotment or transfer of the shares to a subsidiary company shall be considered as void. Okay, this is the provision which talks about the holding of the shares under Section 19 of the Companies Act, and this is very important concept because many times the question has been asked in the examination with respect to the holding of the shares by the subsidiary company in its holding company, or holding company allowing either the allotment or transfer of its shares to any of its subsidiaries. So you need to understand either of the case is not possible, and if it is being done, then it shall be said to be void. Okay, but exceptions are there. Wherever there are exceptions, so definitely it gives a probability to be asked and check your knowledge through the way of the question in the examinations. So whenever there is certain type of the section with provisions, with the exceptions, sorry, so you need to understand the sections very clearly and minutely, because generally the student being are tested on the basis of this exceptions part only. So in this, the exception is given that when a subsidiary company is allowed, to hold the shares in the holding company, or we can say when the holding company can allot or transfer the shares to its subsidiary company. The three exceptions has been given under the Section 19. Please read that sections properly, because on the basis of that only sometimes the questions is being asked. Even I will be taking an example on the basis of that particular exceptions only. So three exceptions are: first, where the subsidiary company holds such shares as a legal representative of the deceased member in the holding company of the holding company. So in that case, that person is given the leverage to hold the shares, as well as that holding company can also allow or transfer the shares. The second exception is that where the subsidiary company holds such shares as a trustee. In the capacity of the trustee, he can hold the shares. And the third exception is that where the subsidiary company is a shareholder even before it became the subsidiary company of the holding company. Okay, these three are the exceptions. Now let's try to understand this question through the way of the example.
Dear students, please, it's 5 p.m. right now. Through messages, please let us know if we can extend the session by 15, 20 minutes or 25 minutes so that we can cover more concepts.
Yes, here is the question. So read the question properly, because many twist has been made in this question. So you need to understand whenever you are solving these types of the questions where there are a lot of facts and twists are there. So you need to just on the side you have to do your working, so that you can easily make out what sort of the relations they are drawing with the one company or the other company.
I would also like to add with respect to this that in such question, working note should be forming part of your answer, like the way you have it in your accounts and other practical papers. Many a times it is not allowed that you should write, or many a times I am using the wrong word, but you should not write, because you should not write on the question paper. Rather, have a margin and do your calculations there in your answer sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
So here is the question that you can make it out that here there has been said that one AB Limited is there, which is issued share, 10,000 shares on 1/4/2020, and that shares has been fully subscribed by XY Limited. Okay, and they have also told 4,000 shares has been held by XY Limited as well as by 2,000 shares by PQ Limited in the AB Limited. So let's try to draw it and understand the concept. Okay, here one AB Limited is there. Okay, which has issued the equity shares 10,000.
As we are receiving the permission from many of the students, we will be trying to wind up by 5:25 or maximum 5:30.
Okay, then we can see that AB Limited has issued equity shares of 10,000 shares, and you can see that these shares have been fully subscribed by two limited companies. One is XY, who is holding 4,000 shares, and the other one is PQ Limited, who is holding 2,000 shares. So in aggregate, you see they are holding 6,000 shares in the AB Limited. So now first you need to understand here whether by holding of shares more than 50% of the aggregate shares, will this company, what relation you can draw between the AB Limited and this XY and PQ Limited. So since they are holding more than 50% of the shares, so these companies XY Limited and PQ Limited in aggregate, you will find that these companies will be considered as, you can see this will be considered as holding company in ABC Limited. Now further there is another thing which is being said that AB Limited is also holding, now read these further facts, that these companies also holding 20% of the equity shares of RS Limited. Okay, before the date of the issue of equity shares, that is of April 1/4/2020. And this RS Limited, you can see, is controlling the composition of this XY Limited and PQ Limited. Since it is controlling the composition, that means RS Limited is the holding company here of this XY Limited and PQ Limited. So you can find out this company is the subsidiary of this company, XY and PQ Limited, and XY PQ Limited is a subsidiary of RS Limited. So you can make it out that even the subsidiary of a subsidiary company will be treated as a subsidiary of the holding company.
Here we are using the concept that you read in chapter 1.
Yes, under the definition of the subsidiary company. So you need to write in the answer both the sections that is of the subsidiary company being covered under section 2 of clause 87 as well as section 19 also, because section 19 is also talking about the holding of shares. Because
Can
the
hold
question,
shares.
yes, because the second part of the question talks about the holding of shares. So you need to write both the sections and you need to understand the relation between the sections. So once you are through with the relation of the company, who is the holding and who is the subsidiary and who can hold the shares and when they can hold the shares, that then only you will be able to solve these kind of application based questions. These are purely application based questions because you are applying the law in the given situation. So since you can see we will just come in directly to the answer because already you are well conversant with the law. Already we have explained you the what are the subsidiary companies, what are the requirements. You can see any company can be subsidiary of the subsidiary of any holding company who controls the composition of the board of directors. Holding companies controlling the composition as well as the exercise of control of more than half of the total voting power in the companies. That companies will be considered as holding to the subsidiary companies. Okay, then you can see the explanation is given down. What are the requirements for the holding company? Then section 19 further provides with respect to the holding of the shares it's talking about, or the allotment or transfer of its shares by the holding to its subsidiary. This you need to mention over here, and in the light of the said thing, now you have to give the reply to the question. This is the fact is given, the issues that have come up in the question. You can see in the instant case what are the equity shares that has been issued and what date. So you have to somewhere bring out the legal issues also, and then after in line with the legal issues and the legal provisions, now you have to draw the answer or you have to come up with the answers. Now if you see the first question that is being asked is whether AB Limited is a subsidiary of RS Limited. So yes, because in this case, as already said, AB Limited is subsidiary of the holding company RS Limited, because RS is the holding company of XY as well as PQ Limited. And that is why AB Limited is also the subsidiary to the RS Limited. So here we can say yes, AB Limited is a subsidiary company, as RS controls the composition of the subsidiary companies of XY and PQ Limited. This is in line with the explanation given under the subsidiary companies definition. Now moving to the next question is whether AB Limited can hold shares of RS Limited. So yes, in this case, AB Limited is a subsidiary of RS Limited, as AB Limited was holding 20% of equity shares even before it became a subsidiary company of RS Limited. This is what given in the exception, because in the last exception we have said where the subsidiary company is a shareholder even before it became a subsidiary of the holding company. So it can become a subsidiary company. Okay, then next is the question whether AB Limited can vote at AGM of the RS Limited held on 30th September 2020. So here you can see the exception is given in the definition. They've just said under definition that a trustee in the capacity of the trustee or in the capacity of the representative, they can hold the shares and they can have the right to vote in the meeting of the holding company. But with respect to that where the holding company is a shareholder even before it became a subsidiary company has no right of voting, and therefore they cannot vote at the AGM of RS Limited held on 39/2020. This is given in the section. You kindly go and check with the section given in the subsidiary company also. As in section 19 you will find in the exception the first two clauses are entitled to vote, whereas the third clause of the exception given under section 19 disentitle the person who has been appointed as a shareholder, who is a shareholder even before becoming the subsidiary company of the holding company, cannot be entitled to vote at the AGM of the holding company.
In this question, there are few more things that need to be taken care of. See, the question seemed simple. Sorry, the question seemed simple, but if you see, there is a lot of interlinkage. So a diagram becomes necessary. Can you draw this diagram in the examination and fetch marks? Sorry, this is for your calculation, but you have to properly show the calculation. See, they have been written, and some students might be thinking why we have written considering one share is equal to one vote. Here comes the part of the legal language. The legal language says exercises or control more than one half of the total voting power. So that's why we have written, because it was written in terms of shares. So we have considered one share gives a power of one vote. So this is to be written. As students, you might not understand the difference between the two, but just understand that one share is equal to one vote has been considered. And there is, you have to properly write that how you have calculated the things.
How you have drawn the interrelation, and in interrelation you have come up with the conclusion ki how that one company is a holding company or how the other one is the subsidiary company to the holding company. So this only comes when you properly draw the calculation as regarding the holding of the shares, because for subsidiary company you need to aggregate find out the holding of the shares and it should be more than half of the total voting power.
Suppose you don't remember this section, the given problem is based on subclause this read with section 9. So as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. But this should be used as a last resort. Try to remember as many section numbers as possible, but don't waste time on that, because suppose you are remembering all the section numbers and no provision will make no use. And utilize your time in understanding of the concept like the way we told you.
Now the next important concept is with respect to authentication of the documents, okay, proceedings and contract. This is a section 21 and it simply authorized it who are the person who can authenticate or sign any of the contract or the agreements. So you will be finding here the KMP officer or employee of the company who are being duly authorized by the board. They are entitled to sign any of the documents, proceedings and the contracts which have been made or with respect to enforcement or with respect to transaction of any business by the company. And what is KMP? That has already been defined in the definition portion. So kindly go with it, because sometimes the definition of KMP is also being tested. So don't ignore even many other definitions which we consider and take it lightly, but they are of relevant from the examination point of view. So who all are the KMPs that you need to know? So kindly go to the definition portion and just know about who are the KMPs.
Some of the students have asked this question, that what can we do to clear the exam in one go, or what should we read to have maximum marks. As such, though we are trying to cover many things and the concepts, that's why we don't want to use the word important concepts, because right now the paper pattern is such that anything and everything can come. So don't do a selective study. However, you may use the skill wise and section wise weightage to plan your things accordingly.
Yes. Then moving to the next chapter, let's take the next chapter, chapter 7 we have a covering here, because many important concepts are being touched from this chapter also. This is related to the administration management of the company. So generally here we will be just covering some few concepts.
Because
on which generally the questions are being asked on frequent basis.
And if you don't remember anything that we are discussing here, it means that you need to do your studies. I'm not saying you need to revise, but you need to do your studies again.
We are just brushing up your knowledge. This is not we are just taking each and every topic over here. Just whatever you have read so far, we are just polishing that thing only. Okay. Now,
Ma'am, Krishna Sharma has asked, ma'am, is it possible to hold shares in its holding company?
With respect to whom you are asking, with asking respect to the subsidiaries company, already I have said is section 9 general
19.
law says, yes, section 19, the general law says that the subsidiary company shall not hold any shares in its holding company. Okay, but there are exceptions which I've already told you in the three situations, when he is a representative in the capacity of the representative of a deceased member, or of any being a trustee, or in the third situation where that subsidiary company is already a shareholder even before it becomes a subsidiary. In that case, it can hold the share in the holding company. And similarly, holding company cannot allot any shares, or you can say transfer any shares to any of its subsidiary company. This is the law, and if it does any of the either of the thing, then that act can be said to be a void.
So Krishna Sagar, you are even asking, ma'am, where can we will get the notes in this session? I don't understand what kind of notes you are thinking, because these are the questions that are there from the study material or from the RTP.
RTPs, MTPs.
That's it. We have not used any other source as of now. We want you to know that everything is covered from all the materials that have been referred to you time and again.
And this is just to revise the concept. Some of the concept we are touching upon which are important from the examination point of view. It doesn't mean that you are not going to read the other things also. But yes, just to polish your skills, your knowledge, your learning, we are just taking a certain section. And through the way of sections, we are trying to touch upon certain concepts.
So moving on to our chapter 7, let's
meetings.
start.
When we talk about the meetings duly called with proper notice can commence the business if quorum is present. Okay, so if you see this chapter, generally the general meetings are of two types. One is the AGM, annual general meeting, and other one is the EGM, extraordinary general meeting. So you see the section 96 talks about the AGM under the Companies Act. Why I'm talking about 96? Because 96 is an important section. Just to try to remember it, 96 deal with the AGM, and other extraordinary meeting deals with under section 100 of the Companies Act 2013. Now, when we talk about the meeting of the members, you should understand that actually when AGM is held, this is important thing. Generally, they are asked question with respect to that when AGM is being held. So you should understand if recently the company has been incorporated, and at that time the first AGM will be held within 9 months from the date of closing of first financial year. Please take a note, within 9 months from the date of closing of first financial year, the AGM will be held. Okay, and with respect to the subsequent AGM, within 6 months from the date of closing of financial year. Okay, this is the basic difference. Sometimes students are confused in the time period. So you should remember first AGM and subsequent AGM. Okay, and sometimes Even if the AGM is not taken place subsequent and there's a special reason, then in that case, the registrar may extend time by a period not extending 3 months. Okay, please take it that the 3-month time is the maximum time. By that time only that period can be extended, but not more than not exceeding 3 months. And what is the gap between the two AGM? How many AGM can be held? So you must remember that gap should be taken care of in order to how many AGM should be conducted. So the gap between the two AGM should be 15 months. Plus 15 months, and suppose if that meeting has not been conducted in 3-month, extension may also be included in case special circumstances. That extension time may also be added. And what can be the date may be decided for the AGM? So any day it can be except national holiday. This is the important part of the AGM, and any annual return to be filed within 60 days from the date on which the AGM is held. This is to be remember,
And
time period
first AGM cannot be
extended. Please remember this point that it cannot be extended. It may be possible in order to test you. The
Many
question,
times the question has been.
question may be asked. So this should be remembered. There is no extension for first AGM. The next type of the meeting is about the EGM. So who will be calling the EGM? The board shall call the EGM on requisition. Remember, on requisition made by the shareholders. Now, if the company is having a share capital, in that case, shareholders holding not less than 1/10 of the paid up share capital. Okay. In the other case, where the company is not having share capital, one is the case where the company is having the share capital, and the other case is where the company is not having a share capital. In such a case, such number of members may make a requisition having not less than 1/10 of the total voting power of all the members. So you should try to understand there are two types of the shareholders we are talking about, two categories. One with respect to the companies having share capital, and other with respect to the companies having no share capital. So in the first case where the company is having a share capital, we have said the requisition may be made by shareholders holding not less than 1/10 of the paid up capital. Okay. In the second case, we are saying such number of members having not less than 1/10 of the total voting power of all members. So these many members may be calling requisition if they require to call for the EGM. Now the next important concept under this chapter is with respect to the notice of the meeting. Okay, now notice of the meeting, notice is the requirement. Whenever any meeting is conducted, somewhere you need to communicate to all the members, the creditors, everyone ki yes, the meeting is going to take place, and in this meeting many important business transaction is to be decided or taken into consideration. So when the notice term is said, the notice means the communication, and to whom it is to be served. It is to be served to every director of the company. Okay, then members, legal representative of any deceased member, assignee of the insolvent member, and the auditor of the company. So these are all the persons to whom the notice with regard to the conduct of the meeting is to be served. Now what shall be the period of serving the notice? The Act specifies it should be clear 21 days. Many questions are being asked on this clear 21 days notice period. And students are very much confused in the calculation part with respect to the calculation of clear 21 days. So if you see, the provision says that clear 21 days means you will be excluding the date of notice on which it is served, as well excluding the date of the meeting, and the rest of the remaining days, clear 21 days, will be taken into the consideration. If we take the meeting of the notice served and the date of the meeting served, then it will be, we will add 2 more days. But rather than considering that thing, we will exclude the notice, the date on which the notice is served, as well as the date on which meeting is conducted. And in between the time period should be the clear 21 days time period. This will be counted as clear 21 days period. Then there is also a situation that meeting can be held at shorter notice. That means less than 21 clear days. So meeting can be called at shorter notice if a consent in writing or in electronic mode is sent in a case of AGM by not less than 95% of the member who are entitled to vote thereat. This is with respect to the AGM. Now, in the case of any other general meeting, again the same thing. If the company is having the share capital, is the one, and other one is the company which is not having the share capital. So, in the case of the company which is having a share capital, in that case, the shorter notice will be served. In the case of other general meeting, will be members having at least 90%, 95% of such part of the paid-up share capital of the company and gives a right to vote at the meeting. If the consent is given by this requisite number of the members, then the notice of shorter period may be served in the case of any other general meeting where the company is having the share capital. Whereas with respect to the other part where the company is not having share capital, the consent is required of the members having 95% of the total voting power exercisable at that meeting. So you should remember how much percentage of the person's approval is required for calling of a meeting by serving the shorter notice and for what period, and everything should be remembered because the question is generally asked on these types of the questions. Now moving to the next important concept is quorum.
So students, we have seen that the meetings have to be conducted and what time is to be conducted, what will be the notice period and length of notice period, all those things. Now, when a meeting is to be conducted, why the meeting is conducted? It is conducted to take some important decisions or to declare something important. Can a single person or one member or two member take the decision? No. For that, we need a few number of members depending upon what is the total strength of members in the company. The term is defined as quorum for the meeting. What is quorum? Quorum is the minimum number of members who must be present in order to constitute a valid meeting so that they can take decisions. So quorum must be minimum number of members that will be present in the meeting so that a valid meeting may be constituted. Okay, one more important thing related to quorum is the articles of association of the company may provide for a higher number than what is provided in the act. And that brings us to the point that what is provided in the act. The act is talking about quorum in section 103, 103. So what does section 103 says? That in case of a public company, if the number of members is up to, that is till 1000, then 5 members personally present, the line is 5 members personally present, shall constitute a valid quorum. Then the next is, suppose the number is more than 1000. No, it's not just more than, it has to be more than 1000. So 1001 to 5000 members are there. 15 members personally present will constitute a quorum. Then if the number of members is more than 5000, either we can write this or we can write, if the number of members is 5001 or more, then 30 members personally present shall constitute the quorum for the meeting. And it also says that the articles may provide for a higher number. The articles of association may provide for a higher number as the quorum. This was in case of a public company. For a private company, 2 members personally present shall constitute a valid quorum and articles may provide for a higher number. This was one of the major things with respect to quorum. Apart from this, there is one more thing. Suppose a AGM is to be held and the members are present at only 5, the company has such number of members, but the quorum is not present. Then do they need to wait? Should they wait even for a minute? If the time is 11 a.m., should they wait even for a minute Yes. The company members have to wait for 30 minutes. And if the quorum is not there within 30 minutes, then the meeting shall adjourn to the next week on the same day, same place. Okay? So, moving with that, we have a question for you. So, this question is with respect to a unlisted public company. This is the question from the recent RTP. So this question is with respect to an unlisted public company. The students will get confused that why the word unlisted public company is written. It is to test whether the students know that the provisions or quorum are applicable on what kind of companies. So the provisions of quorum are applicable on unlisted public companies, listed, non-listed, every kind of company, and a private company also. So this company wants to call its AGM, and it has got its financial statements finalized. They have been audited, and the directors are convening AGM on 25th of August at 10 a.m. So, is this AGM called within the time period? Yes, we know the time period is 6 months. So, if it's called on 25th August, so 31st March to 25th of August, it's well within the time period of 6 months. Now they have given the number of members as 3,500. The articles have provided for a quorum of at least 50 members. On the day of the AGM, only 10 members were physically present, and the company waited for 30 minutes, but the quorum was not there. So the meeting was adjourned. And they have even given the lines from the act which says that it shall adjourn to the same day in the next week at the same time and place. So 1 week after that, they come on to Thursday, 1st September 2022, and the venue was same. However, it was available only after 3 p.m. Though adjourned meeting should be held at the same time and place, but the venue was available only after 3 p.m. So the board agreed that they can call the meeting at 3 p.m. and the members were informed individually, and it was also published in the newspaper. These are all the requirements of the act. So in the adjourned meeting, what happened? 75 members were personally present. Out of the 75 members, 25 persons were having the venue near the 25 persons were having the residence near the venue, and other was staying far off. Suddenly there was a huge rainfall, and due to scarcity of the availability of the transport, some of the members left. But that time only the ordinary business resolutions were approved and 2 special businesses agendas were pending. Very important. Now, moving on to the question. What is the question? In the light of the facts, the journal meetings of shareholders was decided to be scheduled. Determine by which date the notices to the shareholders should have been given to the members. Can any one of you answer that question? Now, we have to calculate that we have to go 21 days back, which we told you, the notice. So in this question, they are trying to test every knowledge that you have gathered in chapter 7. So in this case, the answer will be 3rd August 2022. The next question is whether adjournment of the journal meetings of shareholders of Shree Tyres Limited for want of quorum was justified. The number 1 option is yes, it was justified since the quorum was not present within 30 minutes from the time appointed for holding the AGM. Next is no, it was not justified. Now your mind should also think that whether it was justified or not. Since it was not within 30 minutes, whereas the decision of the adjournment of the meeting was taken after 15 minutes. Is it true that was it taken within 15 minutes? No. So this is a wrong answer. Point B is wrong. Then the next is, yes, the adjournment was valid. If the quorum is not present at the sharp given time of meeting, the meeting shall stand adjourned and there is no requirement of waiting time. The Act prescribes a time of 30 minutes, so they need to give it. So both these options become wrong. Yes, it was justified since the quorum was not present within 45 minutes. Now the line here is as per statutory requirement. Is the statutory requirement saying a time period of 30 minutes or 45 minutes? It's saying for 30 minutes. So this point becomes wrong on this account. Which brings us to the point, yes, it was justified since the quorum was not present within 30 minutes from the time appointed for holding of meeting. Next is, what shall be the quorum for the journal meeting of the shareholders where the number of members is 3,500? In this question, the thing is, if you normally see, we have said that if the number of members is ranging between 1,001 to 5,000, 15 members personally present shall be the quorum. But the articles is providing for 50. So that will prevail. So the correct answer will be 50. The fourth point MCQ is, as some members left the meeting, the quorum was not present all the time during the AGM. The agendas for special business remain unapproved. What is your opinion? It is trying to test your knowledge. Like, if you see, it's just a simple MCQ, but it has tested every kind of knowledge. You cannot answer it just by knowing the provision. You also need to apply the knowledge of legal provision, then only you can answer it. The quorum once present in the meeting is enough? No. In the study material, there is a line written that each item is to be seen separately and it is to be present throughout the meeting. The quorum should be present all the time when the meeting is in progress. Any items which could not be approved by members for want of quorum shall be treated as nil. So before the time before which the quorum was there, they will be treated as valid. After, when the quorum was not there, since in this case what happened was 75 members though were present there, 50 members left. They have written 25 members were staying nearby, so they remained and others left. So it's a reverse calculation that 50 left, only 25 were available and the quorum for the meeting was 50 members. So in this case, what will happen? After the time the quorum was not available, those items cannot be treated as approved. When the quorum is present in the meeting, beginning of the meeting, it may be assumed that all resolutions have been approved until unless objected later on by the members. No, this is not the case. Then the fourth is, the board may seek special written consent from all the members later on. This is not also provided in the Act. The only thing that is provided in the Act is that it should be present all the time when the meeting is in progress. So answer B becomes correct. So that brings us to the end of our session. We requested you to wait for 20-25 minutes and we are already on 5:35. So we cannot cover any more concepts today. Hope so you have benefit from this session. And we 15. Okay. Yeah, correct as per the Krishnan.
Krishnan is right, considering that 15 as per the requirement that is given in the provision. But yes, along with the provision, it said if some higher number is prescribed in the article, then there the article will prevail. So according in that question, the article mentioned about 50 quorum. So according that, the correct answer was 50. And many of students might have been asked 15 as per the provision. But yes, these are the minor things which needs to be taken into consideration. These are all you are being required to have the understanding of the concept. This is what is being tested, and this in real sense you need to apply your mind, you need to apply the logical and this legal provision in terms of the requirement or the circumstances or the situations that has been given to you. Now with this, Shraddha, we consider students have shown a lot of patience, and they are taking they are listening to us, and we are very thankful to them
Yes.
for making this session successful, that we are able to complete some of the important concepts with them. And students, we would like to end our session here only, and tomorrow we'll be looking forward to come with the capsule that already been we have mentioned at the starting of the session, because there we have covered the important concepts related to the chapter 8 9 and 10. But we shall be covering tomorrow chapter 8, 9 and 10 of the Companies Act 2013, which are again the important chapter from the examination point of view. And yes, Shraddha.
Yeah, just in addition to that, keep your study material
Ready, yes.
the latest RTP, and if you have the other RTPs or mock test papers with you and suggested answers, that will be even more helpful. Even if not, but keep your study material and capsule handy.
Yes. So with this, we would like to end our session. So all the best, and keep studying and be steady.
Yes.
Okay.
So see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.